All right, good morning. We're ready to call the board meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, December 16th, and it is 10:01 a.m. And Ms. Cicchetti, could you please call the roll?
Good morning, everyone. Chairman Gaines.
Here.
Vice Chair Lieber.
Here.
Member Vasquez.
Present.
Member Schaefer.
Present.
Deputy Controller Emron.
Present.
All right, a quorum is present, and the board meeting is called to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Deputy Controller Emron will.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please stand if you may. Right hand over your heart. We will begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you. And now we have an opportunity for opening remarks. And
Oh, there he is.
okay, Member Vasquez, why don't you start?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Chair Gaines. I would like to highlight a couple things. One, I understand the 2025 BOE Employee Appreciation Day took place on December 9th, and just wanted to give a shout out and thank all the workers. And actually, during one of my holiday parties, I ran across one of my former staffers from the city that was assisted by the BOE on some issue they had with, I think it was with FTB, but you folks were able to help. And she came up and said, man, I really appreciate the help and assistance. And I said, well, I really appreciate hearing from you, because usually people come up to you and they're complaining about staff or about yourself, right? So it was kind of refreshing to hear something positive. But next, I just want to move into the Universal Human Rights Day, celebrated globally each year on December the 10th, to recognize the anniversary of the adoption by the United Nations General Assembly of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights on December 10th, 1948. The Declaration enshrines the inalienable rights that everyone is entitled to as a human being, regardless of their race, religion, gender, native language, political inclination, national or social origin, property owners, economic status. Available in 577 languages. The Declaration is considered the most translated document in the world. Recognizing the human rights can empower individuals and communities to forge a better tomorrow by embracing, trusting the full power of human rights as a path to the world we want. We can become more peaceful, equal, and sustainable. I would also like to acknowledge Johnny Kim, a highly accomplished Californian who recently returned from the International Space Station after a 245-day mission, landing on December the 9th, 2025. He was born in Los Angeles to South Korean immigrants. He overcame difficult childhood circumstances to become a Navy SEAL, a Harvard graduate, a doctorate, and NASA astronaut. As we talk about folks, immigrants, this is such, even though technically he wasn't, but he's from immigrant parents, to excel and get to that level. Just wanted to give him a shout out. And then last but not least, just recognize the holidays that are, some have already started and some will be coming up. Hanukkah just started on the 14th, goes through the 22nd. Las Posadas starts today, the 16th, and goes to the 24th. The winter solstice is on the 21st. Christmas Eve, of course, and Christmas Day, 24 and 25. Kwanzaa, which starts on the 26th, goes to the 1st. And of course, we got New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, the 31st and the 1st. And then to close it out, we have Los Reyes, Three Kings Day, which is January the 6th. And hopefully everybody has a peaceful and happy holiday. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Vice Chair Lieber?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I wanted to wish everyone a very happy and peaceful holiday season. I think the past week has been very challenging for so many people, tragic in many, many ways. And So we're sending out definitely our best wishes and prayers for healing for those who are impacted at Brown University. Also in Australia. And for the Reiner family, who have given so much to California. I think they were really leading lights in what people can do in terms of their personal activism and reaching out to other people. It's so important. And so my heart goes out to their family and their extended friends who were like family to them throughout that community. And I think that there's much that we can do in each of our roles to try to help our fellow humans as much as we can. We know that the past 2 years have been really tough on so many people. And what I find when I'm doing outreach to my constituents is how lonely people can be. And I remember when Doug and I were at a senior lunch, and one man said that he just really wanted someone to talk to. And would we sit with him so he could tell us about ideas that he had developed during his career that he had never been able to implement. And so we took notes on those and committed to conveying them to people of importance and in a decision-making capability, and we're able to act on that. And it's just so important because you never know what helping hand that's extended to people will become a pivotal point in their lives. And I'm proud of the multicultural community in California. It's our greatest strength here. And hope that we can do the things to invest in the next generation of Californians. And I'm very heartened by that and constantly inspired. I think people say there's no one who's a truer believer than a convert. And there's no one who loves California, I think, more than someone who comes from elsewhere. And it's really quite a miracle what we have going on in California. It's a world community, and it is very, very inspiring. And speaking of inspiring, I don't know if she's listening right now, but our state controller, I think, has a very important occasion. Today is her special day. And I'm so thankful for her leadership. I still remember the first day that I met her ever. And I don't even remember if she had business cards at that time, but I wrote down on a little piece of paper the date and met Malia Cohen today. And that's one of the rare people that I've had in my life that I've done that for, where I wanted to be able to say in the future, this was exactly when. So I'm thankful to our Deputy Controller for Taxation for being here today, and the collegiality and friendship of all of our board members and our staff as well. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Deputy Controller Imran?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to my colleagues. Such a blessing and honor to conclude my third year here on this dais with such incredible staff and colleagues that I get to really enjoy and love what I do. I've gotten a chance over the past week and a half, 2 weeks. I've attended 12 tree lightings, and it's been such a blessing. And there was one specific instance where kids were filling out their wish list for the holidays, and there was this young kid named Lorenzo whose wish was just for a hug. And I think it's important, as Member Lieber was saying, in this time to really love and focus on those that are the future, and also those seniors that have so much wisdom to give. And then also over the weekend, I got to attend a Wreath Across America ceremony at the San Francisco National Cemetery in the Presidio. It was a very beautiful day overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge. and over 300 people came out to honor our veterans. And I can't help but think about those overseas currently that may not be home for the holidays to spend with their families, and want to thank them for their service. And it was a Saturday morning, and while I was driving there, I actually got a ping on my cell phone that 2 United States soldiers died in Syria while I was on my way there, and it just brought chills over me. I'm kind of thinking about some of the realities we face in our today's world, and it's a time of peace, love, and harmony. And then lastly, a big happy birthday to the State Controller, Malia Cohen, an incredible mother, a wife, a controller, a CFO. She continues to break barriers and trailblazes, and been so lucky to be working with her for this long, and it becomes friends, and professionals become family, breaking bread together and continuing to trailblaze and see California for what it is. It's just a place of beauty, of diversity, of strength, and I hope that we can project that strength across the world. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you. Member Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have some very heartfelt messages to give today. First of all, last time I found there were 3 flights out of San Diego to our meeting, and they all left at 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's hard for me to be here on time, and you've been very much of an assistance to me on that. Well, I found out we have a 6:30 a.m. flight, so I got up at 5 o'clock this morning in order to make that, and that gives me time to come here, enjoy breakfast, and be on time. As far as important events today, this is December. The only birthday that really matters is the Christ child, and that's what, we've had a pretty good year in California and in the country. The economy's good, except for remarks out of the White House this last week and the loss of a couple of icons in our entertainment world. The other birthdays of note are Ludwig von Beethoven's birthday is today, and of course, our colleague Malia Cohen, who we'll probably hear more about, and if she appears on the scene, we'll serenade her, I'm sure. I also want to take note that I am a newsophobic. I read 3 newspapers every day and lots of books. And, in my lifetime, there's only 2 occasions that I've seen a newspaper almost 90% focused on one issue. The first time was the death of John F. Kennedy assassination. Every page of the paper would have some unique story. And we didn't know that was going to happen, so it was a lot of scrambling by journalists, and you got to admire that. When Jimmy Carter passed, they knew that was coming, and they had all this stuff in storage, We had the same thing with the Reiner family this last weekend. And I want you to know that today's Los Angeles Times is the only second time in my memory that a newspaper's been 95% devoted to one cause. I have today's paper. I'm going to leave it here. I would hope that you'd all have a chance to take a look at it and somebody to take it home. You go to the first section, big headlines. You go to the second section, bigger headlines and pictures. You go to the third section, and it's all about the relationship with the family. And then there is a little bit of sports at the back, but that's about the only non-Reiner news, and I am so touched by that. I lost my mom and my dad because of excess use of tobacco, and he was a leader in the anti-tobacco drive, taking on the big companies, so much so that South Park made a big joke of it, and they had a little cartoon that was Rob Reiner, and he was always eating hamburgers, whatever. He was on the show, but lecturing against smoking, and they were trying to show but I think the message was that you got to restrain yourself in use of tobacco. And I am so impressed with the Los Angeles Times coverage in a sensitive way, and showing what a loss it is, not just to the country, but to the world, because the roles that he played and whatnot were international. You could talk to somebody in Paris and they would have heard of Archie Bunker, So with all that, I want to say I've so enjoyed the year with my colleagues here, It's the most exciting time of my life, and I don't need to remind you that I am the oldest person in the history of the state to hold a constitutional office, and I'm getting older and better. Thank you.
Awesome. That's great. And I love that Christmas coat and tie you've got on there. Very nice. Yeah, so I too want to, mourn for the many lives that have been lost, that have been mentioned. The troops in Syria, the attack at the synagogue in Australia, the attack at Brown University, and then Rob Reiner and his wife, the attack by their son, who had been had clearly had a lot of problems historically. So it's just very, very sad scenario, and I think we all grew up watching All in the Family, right? I mean, I remember those episodes. Yeah, that's right, Archie Bunker. Yeah, it was. He did a lot of produced a lot of good movies, and just mourn for him and his family and all of these who have lost loved ones. And but I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and any other celebration that people are celebrating, and upcoming New Year. And as Christians, we celebrate the birth of Christ. And I hope that we can use this time to come together to heal old wounds, to bridge divides, to reach out to those we love and let them know how much we care about them. I encourage everyone to act first, to be the person who shows up, who loves, and who forgives. A lot of broken families across America. It's really sad. It blows me away that families can't talk to each other. And so I'm hoping we can bridge that our love should always surpass any disagreement that we have. And there's been tension politically and socially and at other levels, but man, we should always be trying to show forgiveness towards one another. Life's too short to not get along, especially with our families, and that we ought to be reaching out for those that we disagree with, and it's okay to agree to disagree. That the value of living in a civil society where we respect one another and what they believe in, and that, remember it was Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill, right? That had all the battles in Congress, and yet they'd go out and have a drink after it all. And it should be nice if we can get back to that. Yeah. So, I just want to, make sure that you're humble and that you don't let pride get in the way of happiness and forgiveness. And in this new year, I wish everyone the greatest happiness and success. And I hope you all have big plans for next year. As Mike had mentioned, things are going to get better and better. Right, Mike?
I hope so.
Okay, all right. And of course, we want to wish Malia Cohen, our controller, happy birthday. And we'll be seeing her soon for certain parts of our meeting here. And she's done just a great job as our controller. And I enjoyed working with her here at the Board of Equalization. And I appreciate all of you, all the members of this board. And it's been a pleasure to work with each and every one of you. So on that note, we can move forward here. Okay. So let's see here. We have our first order of business is the safety and informational announcements presented by Ms. Cicchetti.
Good morning, everyone. I believe Ms. Cohen is here. Ms. Cohen, are you available? I see you.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay.
Are you ready for me?
Good morning, yes, yeah. We could begin we have a few little announcements here at the beginning. Well, we thought we'd get you to join in with our statement.
Would the controller like to make some comments? I'm sorry, I did not know you were online here.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. Good morning, colleagues. Thank you for the birthday wishes. I appreciate that. And I don't have any comments or opening remarks this morning, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I turn the meeting back over to you.
Okay, very well. We'll see you soon.
Yeah,
in-
I've got
in
a couple of
person.
more things, yeah. We got some administrative work to get done first. Good morning, Controller Cohn. You are appearing remotely, and I have a statement and a question when a board member appears remotely. A board member attends a meeting by teleconference from a remote location. In that case, the member shall disclose whether any other individuals 18 years or older are present in the room at the remote location with the member, and the general nature of the member's relationship with any such individuals. Therefore, Controller Cohen, is there anyone 18 years of age or older present in the room at your remote location?
Yes, ma'am. I'm in the car with my CHP officer.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll continue on.
you.
I have our safety and our informational announcement. Our safety announcement. In the auditorium, the exits are located on each side of the stage and in the front, and additional exits are available in the rear. Please take a moment to locate the exit signs and the closest exit to you in the event of an emergency. I would like to remind the audience to silence their cell phones and other wireless devices. The board meeting will be live streamed to the public and posted on the BOE website. Public comments are taken on each agenda item. If there are any members of the public wishing to speak before the board on an agenda item in person, we ask that you complete and submit to the Sergeant of Arms a public comment appearance sheet located at the entrance of the auditorium. If you wish to speak before the board by telephone, please dial the phone number and the access code provided on our public agenda notice and follow the instructions of the AT&T moderator. When giving a public comment, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. We also ask that all speakers in the auditorium, on the AT&T telephone line, or by teleconference to state their names before speaking for the record. This concludes the safety and informational announcements. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ms. Cicchetti. People who wish to address the Board of Equalization regarding items not on the agenda may do so under this item. Please note that the board cannot act on items not on the agenda. However, the board can schedule issues raised by the public for consideration at future meetings. When giving your public comment, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. And I don't believe we have any speakers. Okay. And no, any written comments? Okay, all right, thank you. Therefore, we'll see if we have any public comments from the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone is on the telephone line and would like to make a public comment regarding this item on the agenda.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to make a comment on the agenda, please press 1, then 0. Once again, if you'd like to make a comment on the agenda, please press 1 and then 0. And at this time, no one is queued up. Please continue.
All right, thank you, moderator. We're now going to move to item 2. These are tax program matters. State Assessed Property Board role changes. This matter is a constitutional function. Contribution disclosure forms are not required pursuant to Government Code Section 15626. Mr. McCool will present this item.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Gaines and honorable members of the board. My name is Jack McCool, Chief of the State Assessed Properties Division. Revenue and Taxation Code Section 4876 allows for the correction of errors on the state assessment roll. I'm here to present one roll correction to the state assessed roll for the board's consideration. This roll correction removes the assessed value for a particular property from Riverside County from the state assessment roll for assessment year 2025 and puts the same value in San Bernardino County. This role change corrects a reporting error by the assessee. In this matter, the county brought the error to our attention, and staff worked with the assessee to verify the correct reporting. Once adopted, SAPD staff will send official role change documents to each county, and the assessee will receive a copy of these role change documents for their records. I'm available to answer any questions that you may have, and I ask for your adoption of this role change. Thank you.
All right, members, any questions? Would anybody like to make a motion? Wonderful, okay. We don't have any written comments or anyone in the auditorium who wishes to make public comment. Therefore, let's go to the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone on the telephone line would like to make a public comment regarding this item.
If you'd like to make a public comment on the phone lines, once again, please press 1 then 0. Once again, for any public comment, please press 1 then 0. And no one has queued up at this point.
Thank you, moderator. Just double check. Any other further discussion? Okay. Member Vasquez has made a motion to approve the board role changes with Member Schaefer providing the second. Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll.
Chairman Gaines.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lieber.
Aye.
Member Vasquez. Member Schaefer.
Aye?
Controller Cohen.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Thank you, members. We'll now move to item 3 on the agenda, property tax appeal, non-appearance consent matter. This matter is a constitutional function. Contribution disclosure forms are not required pursuant to Government Code Section 15626. And Mr. McCool will present this item.
Thank you. Before you today is one petition for reassessment of 2025 unitary value and penalty abatement for your consideration. In this matter, SAPD staff and representatives for the petitioner were able to work collaboratively to resolve the issues raised in the petition. The petitioner was cooperative during the process and provided staff with additional information and data that was requested. As a result, SAPD staff and the petitioner are in agreement on the recommendation before you, and I ask for your adoption of the joint recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, would you like to anyone like to make a motion on
I
this?
so move.
Okay. And do we have a second? Okay. Wonderful. All right. We do not have any written comments or anyone in the auditorium who wishes to speak on this item. Therefore, let's go to the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone is on the telephone line and would like to make a public comment regarding this item.
As a reminder, if you'd like to make a comment on the phone lines, please press 1 then 0. Once again, please press 1 then 0 for comments on the phone lines. And no one has queued up. Please continue.
Thank you, moderator. Member Schaefer has made a motion to adopt a revised unitary value of $5,185,000, which reflects the abatement of the penalty, with Vice Chair Lieber providing the second. Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll.
Okay. Chairman Gaines.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lieber.
Aye.
Member Vasquez. Member Schaefer.
Aye?
Controller Cohen.
Aye.
Great. Thank you, members. Motion passes. Tax program matters. Before we begin, Clerk Ms. Cicchetti will make the administrative announcements for the adjudicatory matters. Ms. Cicchetti, please proceed.
Okay. I have a new microphone, so I'm just going to kind of get going here, guys. Thank you. Seems like it's working. All right, perfect. Good morning again. The administrative matters for the adjudicatory items. This announcement, this administrative announcement pertains to the adjudicatory matters heard today, agenda items number 4 through 11 only. No parties are required to appear. Contribution disclosure forms are required under Government Code Section 15626. The Chief of Board Proceedings Division has received completed contribution disclosure forms from all parties, agents, and participants on these adjudicatory matters. All board members indicated that their records disclosed no disqualifying contributions from any of these taxpayers, parties, their agents, or participants. Regarding adjudicatory matter item 12, note that contribution disclosure forms are also required under Government Code Section 15626. The Chief of Board Proceedings Division has not received completed contribution disclosure forms from all parties, agents, and participants. All board members indicated that their records disclosed no disqualifying contributions from any of these taxpayers, parties, their agents, or participants. The Chief of Board Proceedings has also provided the board member offices an ex parte memorandum listing all parties, agents, and participants to ensure that there were no ex parte violations. No violations have been disclosed. And this concludes the administrative announcement for the adjudicatory matters. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ms. Cicchetti. Okay, let's begin. Item 4, U.S. Telepacific Corp. Property tax appeal, non-appearance adjudicatory. Mr. Boeing, the appeals attorney, is presenting this matter. Please proceed.
Good morning, Chairman Gaines, honorable members. My name is Eric Boeing. I am the appeals attorney for the State Board of Equalization assigned to this case. I have submitted a summary decision for the 2025 petition of U.S. Telepacific Corp. For your consideration. In this case, the parties have waived their appearances, and the petitioner is requesting that the board decide this petition based on the confidential written record. Based on the written record and reflected in greater detail within the submitted summary decision, the appeals attorney is recommending that the board partially grant this petition, thereby reducing the petitioner's unitary value by $30,700,000 and deny the petition as to all other issues, as the petitioner did not meet its burden of proof. I ask for the board's adoption of my recommendation.
Wonderful. Okay, members, would anybody like to make a motion? Okay, Member Schaefer, and do we have a second? Okay, Member
thank you.
Vasquez.
I notice here that there's a conclusion that the petitioner did not provide any additional verifiable, quantifiable evidence. Do we know that that would exist? Do we know what that is?
Mr. Schaefer?
It looks to me that maybe they've presented all the evidence that exists.
Yep, Mr. Schaefer, this is Richard Moon, Chief Counsel. Because this is a non-appearance adjudicatory matter, the parties have not waived their confidentiality and they've decided not to appear here. So everything that you're considering in terms of making your decision is going to be from that written record. And so nothing can be discussed here in public. Generally speaking, I can tell you that the SAPD and petitioner go back and forth typically myriad times, and all of the evidence that SAPD would ordinarily look at, they ask for, and they wouldn't ask for things that don't exist.
Well, I'm impressed that you've worked out a compromise here that seems fair to everybody, and since they don't have any further objections, I'm pleased to support it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. We don't have any written comments, and no one's in the auditorium who wishes to make a public comment. Let's go to the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone's on the telephone line and would like to make a public comment regarding this item.
As a reminder, if you'd like to make a comment on this item, please press 1 then 0. Once again, please press 1, then 0 for a comment. And at this point, no one is queued up. Please continue.
Thank you, moderator. And Mr. Boeing, great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
You did share with me that there's a distant relationship to Boeing aircraft. I think that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so we'll move forward here. Member Schaefer has made a motion to partially grant the petition for a revised unitary value of $62,100,000 with Member Vasquez providing the second. Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll.
Chairman Gaines,
Aye?
Vice Chair Lieber,
Aye.
Member Vasquez,
Aye.
Member Schaefer,
Aye?
Controller Cohen.
All right, the motion
Aye.
passes. Oh, I'm sorry, jumped the gun. Okay, so we have all 5 in support, and the motion passes. Thank you, members. We'll now move to item 5, Race Telecommunications LLC Property Tax Appeal, non-appearance adjudicatory. Mr. Ambrose, the appeals attorney, is presenting this matter. Please proceed.
Good morning, Chairman Gaines and honorable board members. My name, my name is Lou Ambrose. I'm the appeals attorney assigned to this case. I've submitted a summary decision for the 2025 petition of Race Telecommunications for your consideration. In this case, the petitioner has waived its appearance and is requesting the board decide the petition based on the confidential written record. Based on the written record and as reflected in greater detail within the submitted summary decision, appeals is recommending that the board deny the petition and thereby affirm the board adopted unitary value as the petitioner did not meet its burden of proof. I ask for the board's adoption of my recommendation.
Wonderful.
Question?
Yes.
I gotta be careful. I'm not sure we can do that, but go ahead, and we'll rely on Mr. Moon.
I'm impressed or maybe disappointed that Race did not present any legal authority or any evidence. That suggests that maybe they're just cluttering our docket in bad faith, and if we were in another forum, there would be Rule 11 sanctions or CCP 128.5 sanctions. I don't know what recourse we have to discourage unnecessary matters coming before us, but I would think anybody on our docket should come up with some legal authority for what they're doing, or at least some evidence. And you're telling us there's no legal authority that they know of, and there's no evidence that they know of, yet here we are debating it. I think, our recommendation to approve it is right, but I would like us to discourage unnecessary items appearing on our docket.
Yes, sir.
The recommended motion is to deny the petition.
Staff's recommendation.
Okay. All
Yes.
right, we have a motion, and do we have a second? Second. Okay. All right, thank you. Public comment. We do not have any written comments. No one's in the auditorium. Therefore, let's go to the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone on the telephone line would like to make a public comment regarding this item.
As a reminder, if you'd like to make a comment, please press 1, then 0. Once again, for a comment, please press 1, then 0. And no one is queued up. Please continue.
Thank you, moderator. Vice Chair Lieber has made a motion to deny the petition with Member Vasquez providing the second. Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll.
Chairman Gaines,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lieber,
Aye.
Member Vasquez,
Aye.
Member Schaefer,
Aye?
Controller Cohen.
All right.
Aye.
All right, good. The motion passes. Thank you, members. Now move on to item 6, Crown Castle Fiber LLC, property tax appeal, non-appearance adjudicatory. Ms. Wilkman, the appeals attorney, is presenting this matter. Please proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Gaines and honorable
morning.
members of the board. My name is Sarah Wilkman, and I served as the appeals attorney for the State Board of Equalization for this case. I have submitted a summary decision for the 2025 petition of Crown Castle Fiber LLC for your consideration. In this case, the parties have waived their appearances, and petitioner is requesting that the board decide this petition based on the confidential written record. Additionally, I would note that this case is subject to Revenue and Taxation Code Section 40, as the amount in controversy exceeds $500,000 in tax. Based on the written record and as reflected in greater detail within the submitted summary decision, Appeals is recommending that the board deny the petition as to all issues, as the petitioner did not meet its burden of proof. I ask for the board's adoption of my recommendation.
Wonderful. Thank you. Members,
I would so move.
okay, we've got a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, great. All right, we'll now go to public comment. We do not have any written comments, and no one in the auditorium wishes to make a public comment. Therefore, we'll go to the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone's on the telephone line and would like to make a public comment regarding this item.
As a reminder, if you have a comment on this item, please press 1, then 0. Once again, if you have a comment, please press 1 followed by 0. And at this point, no one is queued up. Please continue.
Thank you, moderator. Member Schaefer has made a motion to deny the petition. Vice Chair Lieber providing the second. Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll.
Chairman Gaines?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lieber?
Hi.
Member Vasquez?
Aye.
Member Schaefer?
Aye.
Controller Cohen?
Aye.
Thank you, members. The motion passes. Okay, we're going to jump to item 8. Okay, and that's Consolidated Communications of California Property Tax Appeal, non-appearance adjudicatory. Ms. Wilkman, the appeals attorney, is presenting this matter. Please proceed.
Thank you, and good morning again, Chairman Gaines and honorable members. For purposes of the record, again, my name is Sarah Wilkman, and I served as the appeals attorney for the State Board of Equalization on this case. I submitted a summary decision for their 2025 petition, Consolidated Communications of California, for your consideration. In this case, the parties have waived their appearances, and the petitioner is requesting that the board decide the petition on the basis of the confidential written record. And based on that record, and as reflected in greater detail within the submitted summary decision, the appeals attorney is recommending that the board adopt the agreed-to recommendation of the parties, as it is supported by the evidence and argument in the case. I ask for the board's adoption of my recommendation.
Great, thank you. Members, would anybody like to make a motion on this matter?
So moved.
We have a second. Great, thank you. Public comment. We don't have any written comments on this item. I don't see anybody in the auditorium. Let's go to the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone on the telephone line would like to make a public comment regarding this item.
And as a reminder, if you'd like to make a comment, please press 1, then 0. Once again, for any comments, please press 1, then 0. And no one is queued up. Please continue.
Thank you, moderator. Member Vasquez has made a motion to adopt the agreed adjustment as recommended by the appeals attorney, with Vice Chair Lieber providing the second. Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll.
Chairman Gaines?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lieber?
Aye.
Member Vasquez?
Aye.
Member Schaefer?
Aye.
Controller Cohen?
Aye.
The motion passes. Thank you. Now move to item 9, San Pablo Bay Pipeline Company, property tax appeal, non-appearance, adjudicatory. Mr. Ambrose, the appeals attorney, is presenting this matter. Please proceed.
Again, I'm Lou Ambrose, appeals attorney, assigned to this case, and I've submitted a summary decision for the 2025 petition of San Pablo Bay Pipeline for your consideration. In this case, the petitioner has waived its appearance and is requesting the board decide the petition based on the confidential written record. Based on the written record and as reflected in greater detail within the summary decision, appeals is recommending that the board deny the petition and affirm the board adopted unitary value, as the petitioner did not meet its burden of proof. I ask for the board's adoption of my recommendation.
Thank you. Members, would anyone like to make a motion on this matter?
So move.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay, we'll take public comment on item number 9. We don't have any written comments, and I don't see anybody in the auditorium. Therefore, let's go to the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone's on the telephone line would like to make a public comment regarding this item.
As a reminder, if you'd like to make a comment, please press 1, then 0. To make a comment, please press 1, then 0.
Great, thank you, moderator. I don't see any further discussion. Member Schaefer has made a motion to deny the petition, with Member Vasquez providing the second. Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll.
Chairman Gaines?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lieber?
Aye.
Member Vasquez?
Aye.
Member Schaefer?
Aye.
Controller Cone?
Aye.
The motion passes. Thank you, members. We now move to item 10, Crimson California Pipeline LP, property tax appeal, non-appearance adjudicatory. Mr. Ambrose, the appeals attorney, is presenting this matter. Please proceed.
Again, Chairman Gaines and members of the board, I'm Lou Ambrose, the appeals attorney assigned to this case. I've submitted a summary decision for the 2025 petition of Crimson California Pipeline for your consideration. In this case, petitioner has waived its appearance and is requesting the board decide the petition based on the confidential written record. Based on the written record and as reflected in greater detail within the summary decision, appeals is recommending that the board deny the petition and affirm the board adopted unitary value, as the petitioner did not meet its burden of proof. I ask for the board's adoption of my recommendation.
Thank you. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We do not have any written comments, and no one is in the auditorium. Therefore, let's go to the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone's on the telephone line would like to make a public comment regarding this item.
If you have a comment, please press 1, then 0. Once again, 1, then 0 for comments. And there are no comments from the phone lines.
Thank you, moderator.
I have a comment.
Okay, we have discussion. Member Schaefer.
Mr. Ambrose, in my materials here, they stop at item 9. Not that I'm saying I have to have the materials, I'm just questioning why we have 1 through 9 and nothing for 10, 11, 12. That's question number 1. And secondly, I've long been an advocate of printing front and back. There's about 500 pages here. It could have been done with 250 pages and had a few less trees cut down to serve what's required by law.
I've got some notes here.
Yvette Stowers, Executive Director. I'm going to respond on behalf of Mr. Ambrose. As far as your material, the printed material was delivered to your office staff, and your office staff was responsible for putting the items in your binder. So if you're missing some items, I would suggest you speak with your staff members. With regards to using both sides of the paper, We tried to do that, but due to the type of print job, to do double-sided, it would be confusing for most of the readers.
How many readers are there? I know of 5.
Was also the legal department, my team.
Oh, well, I just,
And we do use recycled paper.
yeah, well, you can see that this is one of the largest we've had, and even mine stops at 9, and the others, that's a problem with my office. I just feel sorry to see so much paper done when a lot of the stuff I get, every book I read, every newspaper I read, and a lot of the decisions, every decision in the law library is printed front and back.
We've investigated that, as we spoke before, and based on the way our print shop prints items, it's not feasible to do double-sided.
Okay, I defer to that. Thank you. Thank you both.
Is that something that could be a future upgrade, or?
There's a second binder here that
It's really not possible to do double-sided when you have large volumes and when you're turning the page and reading back and forth. It's easier to have one side page. We do recycle the paper. We use recycled paper, so we are conserving.
Okay.
And we did reach out to your offices to see how many print copies do you want.
Yeah.
And I do believe most offices said they only want one, or some said they don't want any. They just read it online.
Yeah. I'm just thinking if at some point, those printers get upgraded, and maybe there's, because I know that you can print double-sided quickly,
Yeah,
too.
you can print
with certain-
double-sided. It's just,
certain
it's the
equipment.
type of material that we're dealing with. It's for the ease, it's easier to have it one-sided.
For reading purposes?
Yes.
Okay.
But we do recycle the paper.
Okay.
We use recycled paper. Or you could elect not to receive it. We send you the electronic version of everything.
Okay.
You can bring your laptop and you can read through it that way.
All right.
Chair Gaines?
Yes.
There was a second folder given me this morning, which does have the other items in it. So that supports my theory. If we'd done front and back, we could have had it all in one binder, okay? Because we're doing one side of the page only, it spills over from this binder to the second binder. And I have the second binder just sitting here a couple of feet away. So I apologize for a false alarm. My staff did give me all the materials. But I think this is about the first time that I've sat on the board where I've had 2 different binders of exhibits, and my fault for not noticing that. Thank you.
So note taken, though. It's something that we could look at
We
in the
can
future,
look
I
into
believe.
it, but
Yeah.
I think the most economical way is to use electronic version.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So we're still on 10, right?
Yeah.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Okay, Member Vasquez has made the motion to deny the petition with Member Schaefer providing a second. Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll.
Chairman Gaines,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lieber.
Aye.
Member Vasquez,
Aye.
Member Schaefer,
Aye?
Controller Cohen.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. Thank you, members. Now move on to item 11, Harbor Cogeneration Company LLC, property tax appeal, non-appearance, adjudicatory. Ms. Wilkman, the appeals attorney is presenting this matter. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chairman Gaines and honorable members of the board. Again, for purposes of the record, my name is Sarah Wilkman, and I served as the appeals attorney assigned to this case. I have submitted a summary decision for the 2025 petition of Harbor Cogeneration Company, LLC, for your consideration. In this case, the parties have waived their appearances, and the petitioner is requesting that the board decide the petition based on the confidential written record. Based on the written record and as reflected in greater detail within the submitted summary decision, Appeals is recommending that the board adopt the agreed-to recommendation of the parties, as it is supported by the evidence and argument in this case. And I ask for the board's adoption of my recommendation.
Wonderful, thank you. Members, would anyone like to make a motion on this matter? Wonderful. Mr. Vasquez, Vice Chair Lieber. Okay. We do not have any written comments, and no one appears to be in the auditorium. Therefore, let's go to the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone's on the telephone line who'd like to make a public comment regarding this item.
If you have a comment, please press 1, then 0. And there are no comments from the phone lines.
Great. Thank you, moderator. I'm not seeing any interest in discussion. Okay. Member Vasquez has made a motion to adopt the agreement adjustment as recommended by the appeals attorney with Vice Chair Lieber providing the second. Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll.
Chairman Gaines.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lieber.
Aye.
Member Vasquez.
Aye.
Member Schaefer.
Aye.
Controller Cohen.
Aye.
All right. The motion passes. Thank you, members. We'll move to item 12, Pacific Wired LLC, property tax appeal, non-appearance adjudicatory. Ms. Wilkman, the appeals attorney, is presenting this matter. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chairman Gaines and honorable members of the board. Again, for purposes of the record, my name is Sarah Wilkman, the appeals attorney assigned to this case. I have submitted a summary decision for the 2025 petition of Pacific Wired for your consideration. In this case, the parties have waived their appearances and the petitioner is requesting that the board decide this petition based on the confidential written record. Based on the written record and as reflected in greater detail within the submitted summary decision, the appeals attorney is recommending that the board deny the petition as to all issues, thereby affirming the board adopted unitary value as the petitioner did not meet its burden of proof. And I'm asking the board to adopt my recommendation.
Okay, members, would anyone like to make a motion on this matter? And a second?
Second.
Oh, we've got Vice Chair Lieber, thank you. All right, so we don't have any written comments and no one in the auditorium that wants to speak to this issue. Therefore, let's go to the AT&T moderator. Please let us know if anyone is on the telephone line and would like to make a public comment regarding this item.
If you have a comment, please press 1, then 0. And there are no comments from the phone lines.
Thank you, moderator. I'm not seeing any hands up for discussion. We'll now move to the motion. Member Vasquez has made a motion to deny the petition with Vice Chair Lieber providing the second. Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll.
Chairman Gaines.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lieber.
Aye.
Member Vasquez.
Aye.
Member Schaefer.
Aye.
Controller Cohen.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. Thank you, members.
Mr. Gaines?
Yes.
Chairman Gaines, I think it would be an opportunity time to take a break right now.
Sure.
So we could
Yeah,
take a break.
yeah, very good. So do we need to declare a time for a break or?
Yeah, I think we could do a 15-minute break. That would be good for the staff.
Okay, we are going to go into recess and we'll return at 11:15. Thank you. I apologize. We're returning from our recess. It's 11:15 a.m. And we're now going to move to item 13 on the agenda, Chief Council Matters, Organization of the Board, election of a new chair and vice chair for 2026. And Ms. Himovitz will be serving as chief counsel to present this item.
Excuse
but
me,
we
Chairman
have
Gaines, I'm
an
sorry,
important
Yvette
matter.
Stowers. We have a very important
That's
matter
right.
here before we
Thank you.
go to the organizational board. On behalf of the Board of Equalization, we would all like to wish the fabulous Malia Cohen an extremely happy birthday and a wonderful year. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you very much. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you. It's been a long year. I wasn't sure I was going to make it. I'm happy to be here. Oh.
Yeah.
I thought those were just for the desk. I was like, oh, those look nice. These are for you.
Thank you. The cameraman was going to tell me to take them down.
Oh,
We'll give
okay.
them to the seat.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, friends and colleagues. Thank you. It's very nice to be appreciated.
We were talking about cake, but after speaking to Yvette, flowers was the better choice.
Yeah, flowers is a better choice.
Wonderful. All right. So we've
Unless they're Rice Krispie treats. Then the Rice Krispie treats would have been a better choice.
Okay. We have Ms. Himovitz on behalf of the Chief Counsel will present this item.
Thank you. Good morning, honorable members. Julia Himovitz on behalf of the Legal Department. For this item, I will be facilitating the election of the board chair and vice chair for the upcoming term. As you may recall, this will be a member-to-member discussion where each member can choose to nominate a chair and a vice chair. We're going to begin the nominations for the board chair and then complete the same process for the vice chair. Any member may nominate themselves or another member for chair. Once all nominations have been made, each nominee will have 3 minutes to make a statement. The nomination does not require a second. I will then turn it back to the clerk, Ms. Cicchetti, and she will call the roll. Please respond at that time by stating the name of the member that you're voting for to serve as chair, or you may abstain from voting. If a member receives the requisite votes, which would be the majority of those present, that member will be elected as chair. In the event of a tie for either or both positions, the 2025 chair or vice chair shall continue to serve. If no candidate receives the required votes, the board will continue to nominate and vote for candidates until a majority or a tie is achieved. So if there are no questions, we will start and open the nominations for the election of the chair for the 2026 term.
Could I just make a quick comment?
Sure.
I appreciate serving as chair, and it was an honor, really grateful for that. But I just wanted to serve for 1 year. I think that's a good precedence for this board. And so I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, so I will now call for nominations at this time. We'll start with Chairman Gaines, since you are the outgoing chair. Would you like to nominate anyone?
Not at this
Okay.
moment. Thank you.
Okay, Vice Chair Lieber?
I'll nominate Lieber.
Okay. Member Vasquez?
I'll nominate Vasquez.
Member Schaefer?
I have no nomination. I would hope somebody would nominate me if I don't have at least one of my colleagues to believe in me, to nominate me. I don't deserve the job. I want to echo Chair Gaines' statement that serving 1 year is a good idea. I think in 7 years of service, have earned support. I would like to let you know, as I'm not William Tecumseh Sherman, who said if I'm nominated, I will not run, and if elected, I will not serve. If I am nominated, I will run, and if I'm elected, I will serve with my best. Thank you.
Thank you. Controller Cohen, would you like to nominate anyone?
Thank you. I have no nominations to make.
Okay. So at this time, the nominations are closed. Each nominee will now have 3 minutes to make a statement, and they will be made in the order the nominations were made. So, Vice Chair Lieber.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm very honored to be on this board at all. I think it's a very good board, and so much hard work has been done over the years to really improve our working with staff and to elevate the board and to provide service to our constituents, which is the key thing for me. I would be honored to earn your votes as chair for the coming year. And I think, Mr. Gaines, you've been an excellent chair and have moved our work along in a very efficient and respectful manner to everyone, and providing the opening for public comment and the invitation for all of our constituents, as well as the professional associations that we work with, to come forward. In the coming year, if I'm elected, and even if I'm just serving in this capacity, I'd like to reinforce our relationships with the assessors and really reach out to the communities at large in California to make sure that everyone is aware of Prop 19 and its ramifications, and that we communicate in the most effective ways possible with the legislature as we look at possible revisions to Prop 19 and to other matters that will be coming forward. We know that the legislature is going to be operating in an environment of reduced resources over the coming years, and so I think it's essential that all of our state agencies, including the BOE, work very closely with our legislative colleagues. And so I'd be honored to have your consideration and your potential support. Thank you so much.
I had a question. Well, my question was, our chair, did you nominate anybody or nominate nobody?
We have 2 nominations currently. That's Vice Chair Lieber and Member Vasquez. Ms. Lieber just gave her presentation, and now we'll turn to Member Vasquez.
Well, could I move to reopen the nominations and nominate myself then? I thought there was more than 2 running.
If the members would like to reopen the vote, we can, or the nominations, we can do that.
Sure.
Well, I would nominate myself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll turn now to Member Vasquez.
Excuse me, Mr. Vasquez, before you begin, point of clarification. Just in terms of the process, we are going to hear from the nominees, and then we'll have an opportunity to ask them questions after their opening statements.
So after, yes, if the board would like to ask some questions, you guys certainly may do so. After that, we'll call for public comment, and then we'll turn to Ms. Cicchetti to call the vote.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Just wanted that point of a clarification. Thank you.
Member Vasquez.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to serve you again. It's been a pleasure working for this board for the last 7 years here. Looking forward to continuing some of the work we've done, especially on our work groups and some of the hearings we've done. And I think as a group, we've worked really good. I really appreciate the leadership we've had from both our vice chair and our chair this last year, and our controller when I first started. We all came in here brand new, and she took the realm right away as the chair, and I assisted her as the vice chair. And I thought we did quite a bit in terms of turning the whole image around, because when we all showed up here almost 7 years ago, we were in the midst of being abolished, right? And now I think we've done a real good job, not only to really get to the core issues of what we're all about in property tax, but then also to really get the appetite from a lot of the legislators in terms of now they're looking to possibly give more authority, especially in the area of property tax for the BOE. So I'm looking forward to that moving forward. And Prop 19, which I know we all hear about, and I was just at a gathering last week with the CATA folks, and I can't believe now as people are starting to realize the impact it has upon death, the intergenerational wealth is gone. And even in talking to realtors, you know, when I talked to the mom and pops, they didn't realize that the impact it was going to have. So I'm hoping this next year, and it looks like there's an appetite both from the Assembly and the Senate to possibly come up with some legislation, not necessarily to reverse the whole Prop 19, but at least pull out that intergenerational piece and create a proposition that can go on the ballot. And I think with the support of our assessors, legislators, and of course, our board, I think we might be able to accomplish that, and that would be great, go a long ways. So that's one of the things I'd like to see done. The other thing is that, you know, we still have a couple of our long-term goals that we started here with our work groups that still need to be accomplished, and hopefully this next year we'll be able to do that. So I'm looking forward to not only the participant of this board, but even the new leadership. You know, we got some new generation coming in with the new Assembly Speaker and then now the new Speaker Pro Temp. That's, I think, going to create some good synergy for us moving forward and develop a good partnership, I think, for us as we look to the future. So hopefully, if I have your support and moving forward, just would respectfully like to get your support on this one moving forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Member Schaefer.
I have no further comments on the matter. I feel I've spoken enough. I think less is better. You all know me as a critic of government, a well-read critic of government, and you'll get more of the same and devotion, and I think I've earned an opportunity to serve. This is my last opportunity in this life to be of service to the people, and I thank all of you for your support.
So at this time, it sounds like Controller Cohen does have some questions for the nominees, so I will open it up to questions, and then we will turn to Ms. Cicchetti for public comment.
Great, thank you very much, appreciate it. My question is directed toward Member Schaefer. I've had the opportunity to witness and experience the leadership style of Member Vasquez, Schaefer, and now Gaines. I'd like you to describe to me your leadership style.
I didn't hear that.
I'd like you to describe to me your leadership style.
Oh, I would describe my leadership style as that of skepticism, confidence in our outstanding staff. I see a duty to reach out. I've sent a letter to the principals of all of our high schools in the county offering to come out and give a brief talk on the virtues of California government, both employment-wise and how important it is. I am the oldest constitutional officer in the history of California. I'm proud of that. My health is good, and the fact that I'm reaching out to do more and more, I think deserves appreciation of the public, and I have been well received. I write in parades, I give talks here and there, and I find that our work is really little known, but I find that once you explain how important it is, I think we all owe it to ourselves to be active as taxpayers' advocate. That's what the public thinks we are, and that's what I aim to be. Thank you.
Follow-up question. Talk to me about the future direction that you see the Board of Equalization going in. Should you serve, what direction would you take this body?
I see the board, the biggest challenge is to have the appreciation of the legislature. Sometimes we have a few critics over there, and I think they are really short-sighted. They're thinking of the old board and not the new board. I think there's really nothing but progress and pride in what we're doing, and I'm sorry that some of the legislature is still looking at the sins of our predecessors and questioning whether we're worth it. I think we're very well worth it. I think it's very important to have the taxpayers' representatives making these major decisions that are being made, and I think we can do a better job. That's why I come up with criticisms now and then, and
So let's expound on that. Do a better job in what way? What are we not doing that you will do?
well, one thing is we've had 10 occasions in this meeting that we've asked ANTT operator, there's never anybody there. I think all the law requires is that our staff advises that there is a call. I think maybe we might have a meeting down south at least once a year so that people can drive to our meeting and the local press will give it a little more attention. I think we should encourage people to drop by and see what we're doing. I don't think I've ever seen stories about the BOE in the newspaper in LA or San Diego, and I think if we did put out a release on some of the stuff we're working on, we don't have our media guy right now. Mr. Kim has not been replaced that I know of. I'd like to look at how other public bodies are working, the 22nd District Agriculture Association, the Public Utilities Commission, the regions of the university, and if there's some procedures or ideas that they're working on that might work in here, I think it's good to bring it before the board so we can at least consider what other public agencies are doing. I want us to be a little better known, and I want people to feel that we are truly representing the taxpayers, nonpartisan. I think we proved that by having both a Republican and a Democrat serve as our chairman. I think the BOE is commanding more respect from both Republicans and Democrats and independents than they have in the past when we were more partisan. So I'm happy with the board, but I want to be part of its tomorrow.
Appreciate that. And finally, I don't know what's going on in your district with great detail. Can you describe for all of us some of the successes or the things that you've championed, some of the successes or things that you have championed in your specific district?
In my specific district,
Yeah, as a leader representing District 4, right?
yes.
What have you championed? What is something that you consider to be a success?
Well, I think we have a duty to see that our assessors are as efficient as they can be. Just this last month, I found that our assessor was charging a flat $2.50 fee on anyone who used a credit card for purchase of birth certificates, death certificates, whatever. It was a flat $2.50 fee. I find out that the state of California is charging a 75-cent fee. And I personally brought it to the attention of our assessor that he is charging triple what the DMV is charging for use of a credit card, and I think there should be consistency.
So you brought that, but what happened? You just talked about it? I mean, did you change the policy?
He
what was
did
the end
send me a
result?
nice response, said, "Dear Mr. Schaefer, I appreciate the idea. When our contract is up, we're searching for a vendor that'll give the people a better shake." So I feel that's a small item, but it affects a lot of people, and that's right in our district.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to direct my attention down here to Member Lieber and Mr. Vasquez. I'm going to ask Member Lieber and Vasquez similar questions. Member Lieber, talk to me about your leadership style.
Well, I hope that my leadership style is collaborative and open. I place a very high value on working with our fellow members and also being in partnership with staff. And then being in partnership with the legislature as well. And in terms of the future of the board, I would like to continue to build on the good work that's been done here to, as Mr. Vasquez said, restore the image and reputation of the board and to demonstrate that we are effective and needed within the overall ecosystem of state government. And I have put a high priority on communications with the legislature in that respect throughout this year, individual meetings and also testifying in committees. And then in terms of my district, I have been very proactive in offering up policy information to local and regional elected officials in my district, oftentimes touching on the work groups that we've had in terms of the trends in affordable housing at the state level, and also in terms of our Prop 8 functions to respond to disasters, and what the future of that response looks like with the environmental challenges that we face. And then have been working to get Prop 19 information out to people. And I think that's still really an open question of what's the best way to do that. And I think there isn't really a limit on how much outreach you can do, because people need to have that information as they come upon one-way gates in issues that can really change their financial future. So that is something that I'm very much engaged in working on. And then in terms of working with the caucuses in the legislature as well is a very good way to get information out. One of our state senators has been very much in touch with me, and I've been working with staff on information relating to a local issue that's very pressing around Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant, and the closure that has impacted the plant and really impacted the tax basis within that county. And so I'm continuing to work both with the senator and with the assembly member in that area. Thank you.
All right, that's good. Can you just talk to me a little bit about if you were to be the chair for the Board of Equalization, would this be your last year in service? Your fourth year, because you would be running for re-election as well, right? In 26, I think we
Yes.
all are. And talk to me about the future of the Board of Equalization. That's where I really want to focus this conversation on, because this election is going to be pivotal, because it's going to be carrying us from, frankly, the past into the future. In 27, we will be having new members. So this year, the year coming up in 2026 is going to be laying or continually laying the foundation for the BOE, for previous boards' past transgressions. So we're still coming out. Where do you see us going forward in just 1 year?
Yeah, I think we're very fortunate to have excellent candidates running, and to really have very good promise for the next 4 years. And I would like to be effective in being that bridge from our current board to the next board, and helping them to get into their office efficiently and be able to be effective. I do think that there's going to be a big job before us to talk about the work of this board, the turnaround board, in terms of the work groups and all of the foundation that was laid to improve the image of the board, to work effectively with other state agencies, and I would say that is thanks to the work of staff, and to communicate to the new board members the value that we place on our professional staff within the agency. And I know that the new board members will be coming from many different contexts, and so I think that communication will be very, very important.
Okay. Can you talk to me a little bit about the work that you've done with our stakeholders? I know you work great with the staff. I've seen that. And I've also seen you work with franchise tax board staff as well. Talk to me about your work with the stakeholders that I have not had the privilege to witness. Describe it to me.
Well, during my time so far on the BOE, I've worked very closely with the assessor community and also with the tax advocacy community. I just was at the CADA conference as well the other day, and I think it's really essential to have open lines of communication with all of the stakeholder groups, as well as with the organizations that represent everyday Californians and their policy needs and their policy interests. As you know from representing this district, just about everybody in District 2 and our other districts as well are very astutely interested in politics and policy. And so I've worked to really get the information out to them and to also be with our community members regionally. And so I've traveled to where there are important community issues going on to learn all that I can about those issues. And even though it is not something that we can directly affect at the BOE, to lend my presence at those times. An example of that is a hospital issue that was very present in Hollister and San Benito County, and really working with those community members to make sure that they were heard at the state level and to give them a feeling of confidence about the work that we do here.
Okay. The other, so I just want to bring labor into the conversation a little bit. Local 1000 is represented, SEIU represents BOE employees, and I was wondering if you had any interactions with them or any of the members that you could talk about.
Yes, SEIU is, I consider my home union, my family. And so I'm extraordinarily close to them and have worked on a large number of projects and worked on their issues really consistently. And am very close to some of the members of the CalPERS board, Melissa Willett and others. And I take their ideas in terms of policy and the needs that they communicate, not just from their members, but also from the public that they serve. And so
let me narrow the conversation a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily mean in a broad general sense SCIU, like 521 and Melissa, but specifically the members that are affected by the policies and the folks that are doing the work here. SCIU represents not only BOE members, but also franchise tax board members. So in that capacity as chair, have you had the opportunity or made yourself available, or has there been any outreach? I consider them also part of our stakeholder. So this goes back to my original questions about, talk to me about your stakeholder engagement and your partnerships. You mentioned the assessors, certainly. And so wanted to bring labor into the conversation.
Yeah, I work with SEIU very closely, and I really take their input to heart. And I was just talking to some candidates the other day and mentioned, you know, if you really want to find out what's going on with these particular agencies, talk to the people that work there.
Yes.
And that's absolutely critical. I really have the utmost respect for them and the issues that they identify.
All right, we're gonna keep moving. Member Vasquez, you're up. You're in the hot seat. So you've got a taste to hear a little bit along. Just being consistent with where the questions are and some of the things that I'm listening to. I would love to hear how you would describe your leadership style. I want to hear about the successes as when you were chair, and then successes that have happened in your district. And then most importantly, I really want to hear about the future, how you see this body going and moving forward.
Thank you for the question. Starting with leadership, I think I have a pretty much an open policy on leadership, you know, just embracing all folks. And in terms of whether I'm in the position or not, you know, when we first started, you and I, as chair and vice chair, I thought we did a pretty good job of bringing in a lot of the stakeholders and a lot of the other groups, interested parties, I guess you might say, as we started our first work group and then actually got into some of the hearings. And like I'd mentioned in my opening remarks, I think that, you know, we kind of broke them into long, the middle, and long-term and short-term goals. And I think we still need a little bit of work on some of the midterm and long-term goals.
Such as,
But
do you have any specifics?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any specifics?
Yes.
On the goals?
Like the whole modernization and e-signatures, for example, you know, that was part of our original, one of our original groups, and obviously some of the smaller counties are really struggling with that. And unlike, you know, in my case, you know, I have the big gorilla, you know, with LA County being so huge that they have so many resources that Jeff Prang was able to take that on pretty quick and has the resources. But then when I got outside of my county and working with some of the rural counties, they're telling me, you know what, it's very difficult for us to do that. So, and I think we're still struggling with that. But it sounds like at least in the last hearing we did, I think we're going to be able to come with a pretty good compromise to start hopefully resolving that issue. The other big issue is the AABs. You know, I remember when we first started that one, I didn't realize how overwhelmed some of these counties were, especially LA, you know, my county being so big that these people are sitting there waiting, in some cases, years for a hearing. And I think we have eliminated some of the pitfalls there to try to streamline that a little bit, but I think we still need some more work, and I'm hoping we can come up with some better resolutions, especially for those folks that are sitting waiting for a refund. You know, it's still taking months, in some cases a year, to get reimbursed. And I understand because many of those cases, as I'm looking more into it, you do more of a deep dive, it turns out that a lot of them are being represented by other entities, a third party. So by the time they get the information, it's months later. Yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to eliminate that piece.
So how do you see, where do you see the future of the Board of Equalization?
The future?
Yeah.
I think it's looking real good. I mean,
what's on your agenda? Should you be chair? What can we look forward to?
Well, my top priority would be to fix Prop 19, the intergenerational wealth piece of it. Because the more I talk...
so fix it how?
I'm sorry?
Fix it how?
Fix it, with legislation. Because in talking to my local folks, and, you know, and you probably know Mike Gibson, who's looking to run for my seat. I mean, he's real adamant about this as well, and we've done some real good workshops together locally in the district. Mm-hmm. And I think there's an appetite, hopefully by the rest of both the Assembly and the Senate, to get something on the ballot to fix that. Mm-hmm. Because in talking to even my members, you know, we just had our little retreat in Anaheim last month, and I think a lot of folks didn't realize that a lot of these gardeners in my district who made the smart move 30 years ago to buy property in Venice, for example, when it was very affordable. Mm-hmm. They spent $30,000 on a home that's now worth millions because it's on the beach. Mm-hmm. But when they bought it, it was the ghetto. I mean, it was tough. Nobody wanted to live there. And 70% of the people that lived there were renters. But now that's flipped. But as a result of that, these folks made an investment following the rules that said that they could will it over to their kids without a tax burden. Mm-hmm. And now they're finding out upon their death, they could still will it over to their kids, but it's gonna come with a huge tax
So
bill.
how are you gonna handle
So I think
the fire, no pun intended, from the firefighters and the realtors that supported the initiative and want to keep it maintained?
Well, you know, in talking to the firefighters, you know, and I don't know if you know this, but you know, here we are, and 5 years later, supposedly it was supposed to generate 10 million minimum a year for the firefighters fund. And I keep hearing there's zero funds in this thing, 5 years later. So this thing it's not fixing that particular problem. I think we still need to address that issue, especially now, you know, in my district, we had the two major fires, and, you know, these folks are gonna start rebuilding, and it's gonna be a tough one for a lot of, especially in Altadena, which is more of a working class community. You know, the Pacific Palisades, a lot of these folks it's 2, 3 generations in. But even those folks, I found out that many of those folks, because they're 2, 3 generations into this property, were either uninsured or didn't have insurance at all. And now are finding themselves, what to do with the property. So, but getting back to your question, I think, if we could just carve out that one piece, and I think I'm hoping we can get that through the legislation to change intergenerational wealth, so these poor folks that made this investment don't lose their resources. The other thing that I think would be real good is that as we're getting some of these new young members, both on the Assembly and the Senate, we did pretty good, I think, these last 3 years of bringing in a lot of the members that are real active on the housing front and are real active on property tax as well, and with the vets. I think one of the things that came out of one of our hearings is that I think it's a crime that the exemption that we provide for the vets, I think is so minimal. It's kind of embarrassing, I think. And that was passed I believe it was like 30 years ago, and it doesn't really have a cost of living. We need to make the adjustment on that one as well, because it really should be something tangible for these folks that fought in our wars and are sitting on some property that are not reaping the benefits of it. Let's see, what else you asked about?
Well, I think you touched on a lot. You described your leadership style. You talked about the successes, the workshops and things that you've done in the district. One of the things that you speak on often are the work groups that happen here. The work group that you lead or that you participate in, what have you guys produced?
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job with several of the work groups, especially on the housing front. Now, as a result of some of our hearings that we've had, we're getting a lot of participation. Matter of fact, I just did a tour last week with these folks that are now creating these prefab homes. There seems to be a market for it, especially after the fires, where people are coming in and are actually creating units that they could build, within a year, especially for these fire victims. These folks in Altadena and even the Pacific Palisades are now popping up these prefab units so they can actually live back in the community while they decide what they're going to do with the main house on the property. So I think, and I think, at least in hearing from our folks that came and testified, they really welcomed the fact that we were engaged and we provided that forum and got that out there. So I know 2 so far, and actually both of them are producing this product in California.
Okay.
It's not coming from out of state or out of the country.
We're gonna keep moving. So as everyone knows, the Board of Equalization Chair sits on the Franchise Tax Board.
Yes.
And that's also an important body for the state of California. You become a voting member. I wanted to ask some questions about being a member of the Franchise Tax Board next year. Tony, we'll start with you. What specific personal and corporate income tax issues do you think, or are you interested in taking on?
Oh, on the Franchise Tax Board, I'd love to work with you more closely on tax credits, for example. I keep hearing it from these folks that are trying to build housing. One, how to streamline that process, and then 2, it's my understanding with this new big bill that the federal government finally passed, there's actually going to be more resources and funding to increase the tax credits. So I'd like to work with you on that and see what the possibility is of making sure we get our fair share here in California.
So that's interesting. We haven't really talked about tax credits at the Franchise Tax Board. That's always been a conversation that's happened at SIDLAC and TCAC. And so it is happening, but not just not at the FTB. FTB, we focus more on the governance, the maintenance, the technology, the maintaining of the secure and personal information. Sally, talk to me about the specific personal or corporate income tax issues that you would be willing to address at the Franchise Tax Board. You too brought an issue that kind of shook things up at the Franchise Tax Board. What else is on your agenda?
Well, obviously, I'd like to see the Franchise Tax Board achieve higher rate of uptake of the earned income tax credit.
Okay.
And foster youth tax credit. And I would like to see that agency work to preserve free filing in California. And to do everything in its power to work with the federal government to preserve the availability of VITA tax help in filing, and to see that multiple communities within California become aware of the availability of becoming a VITA volunteer and availing themselves of that help in terms of taxes. I'd also like to look a bit at the timelines of how long it takes to resolve tax cases and conflicts between the agency and taxpayers. I think that more could be started from the board to work towards those issues as well.
Got it. That's good.
And then have the board lend its support to the security measures. We know that going forward, there is going to be a much more fraught environment for security of the financial data and access to its technology systems.
One of the things that I'd like to see that hopefully whoever will be the next chair would be just to strengthen the connection between the Board of Equalization and the Franchise Tax Board, and that's just simply just sharing out information, reporting out like what we were talking about at FTB, and vice versa at FTB, talking about what we're talking about the BOE, just so that there's a little bit more continuity and that there's a broader base of knowledge, and I think that would be good. Deputy Controller Imran will be really helpful in helping us facilitate that. Okay, thank you. Member Gaines, I'm sorry, not Member Gaines, unless you had some thoughts. I see Member Gaines taking copious notes, by the way. So I'm sure he's got some ideas and some questions. But before we get to you, Member, I want to go back to Member Schaefer. Mr. Schaefer wanted to just make one more thing. He said he had a supplement response. Okay.
Thank you. Member Cohen, this is an eye-opener, having such an interrogation of what we're doing or what we should be doing in the future. And I want you to know a few things that I have been actively doing. I've reached out to Jeff Prang, who is the president of all our assessors for the coming year. I've met with him in Los Angeles. I've met with him in Orange County. I've talked to him on the phone about some of the issues involving the assessors, and I think it's important that we have personal contact with them. I want you to know that I have found out that when county government is auditing or investigating its assessor, we don't know anything about it. And I am trying to get the legislature to perhaps require that when a county government is making a study of the assessors, that a courtesy copy of it be given to the BOE so we can be aware of what's going on. I think that's important, and I'm astounded that Orange County was doing a study and investigation of the assessor for a year, and I knew nothing about it until I read across some articles in the newspaper. I want you to know that I have been on our assessors to see that they take a look at the sexually violent predators who are sent out to the different neighborhoods. It's happened half a dozen times in San Diego County. I think the assessors should reduce the assessed value of the home in the neighborhood that is impacted by having a sexually violent predator as a new neighbor, especially because it's talked about in the newspapers, and it affects the value of their home for sale or rental, and I think the assessor should be alert to that. I live in a community association where we take up a collection of money for the holidays, and the association decided it should be $1 per day that you're here. I said, well, we're all at least $2 a day people, and I ask you to rise to the occasion. Well, our Christmas collection was up 50% this year because of the letter that I sent out, because I'm trying to bring equalization and fundamental fairness in all aspects of life. I want you to know that the budget is very important to me. I have sliced my budget 80% by going from a $6,000 office in San Diego to an $1,800 office, and we still get the job done without all the frills. I have closed my expensive office here overlooking the Capitol at $6,000 a month rent, and we're operating from home right now, and we're doing very well. I think we have to respect the taxpayers' dollars. I've been concerned that perhaps we are all elected at the same time, and boom, we will have 4 or 5 new members. I'd like to have us, for the long future, maybe stagger our systems where we elect 2 of our members for 4-year terms and then 2 of our members for 4-year terms. But there will always be 2 people on the board that have some experience. Food and sales tax. I've looked at the fact that the cost of food is getting higher and higher and higher, and we do not collect a sales tax in the grocery stores, but we do at McDonald's, Jack in the Box, all the restaurants that people go to. Perhaps when food is being purchased, whether it's being served to you at a table or whether you buy it and take it home and cook it, should be exempt from sales tax. These are issues that affect the average taxpayer, and we should be speaking up for them. And I have an inquiring mind that I think is important, and I'm always looking out. I drop into other state offices in my district. I've been to the California Highway Patrol headquarters in San Diego several times. I've talked to the people in the Highway Division, let them know that I am a state official and I'm here in your hometown. Shirley Weber, our Secretary of State, and myself are the only customs officers in San Diego County, and I like to have the people there know that. So, I am out and about, and I think that's important. And I'm always asking, can we do it better? And I'm very impressed at the work that my colleagues are doing here, and I'm so glad that Ms. Cohen, our controller, has woken us up to how much better we can be doing. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that kind words. Okay, we're going to have to keep moving this forward. Mr. Gaines, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have something you want to contribute to the conversation? It's okay to say no.
Yeah, I would, though.
Okay. I thought so. You should see his notes, pages upon pages.
I'd just like to get some clarity in reference to Prop 13, and I'd just like to go.
Well, sir, no one talked about 13. They only talked about 19.
I know.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. You want to go there? Go ahead.
But I'd just like to get each nominee's perspective on Prop 13, because it's always controversial in terms of reform and changing it. And so I just kind of like to know what your thoughts are about Prop 13, and if you're in favor of reform, what sort of reform would that be? And maybe we could start with Tony and just go across.
I know, and every time we talk about Prop 19, and then 13 seems to surface all the time. And I know we had, I guess it was an item on our agenda last month. Several people were calling me real nervous that if we were going to be moving on Prop 13. And I said, at this stage, I think what we're looking to do is just trying to make sure that it's an equal playing field across the board for folks. And actually, when Prop 13 came in, I think, while a lot of people were against it, I think the fact that it didn't address the commercial side, I think hurt a lot of folks back then. But it helped a lot of the residents, because like my dad, for example, who was on fixed income, he would have lost his house if it wasn't for Prop 13. So, and I get it, here it is, I guess it was back in 75. So it's been over 35 years or something. So, and I could see why some of these folks, especially, I know as I talk to in my district with school districts and counties, right now they're hurting, because one, COVID, and then in my case, the fires, the sales tax and just tourism has really dropped. So they're trying to figure out where do we get more revenue. So I think it's going to be an issue that's going to come up. And I think we need to be cognizant of it, but also make sure that it's done in a very equitable way as we discuss it.
Thank you.
Well, as we know, Prop 13 is now a part of the California Constitution. And when we assume office, we agree to uphold the Constitution of California. And I think that's very, very important. There will be a revenue discussion going forward, and I think there may be proposals coming out of the legislature that we may or may not react to. I do think Prop 19 goes hand in hand with Prop 13 because Prop 13 is there to, I think, primarily protect homeowners, but also protect commercial businesses. And yet, if we're under Prop 19, protecting the intergenerational transfer of only $1 million in value, then it really impacts people in higher cost areas disproportionately. And in my district, I know that in my home county, 1,200 square foot home with 3 very small bedrooms and 1 bathroom is a $3 million house. And so those families that Mr. Vasquez talked about earlier, who did have the funds and the foresight to buy into a cheaper market, are very much impacted by not being able to pass that value on, particularly when there's multiple children in the family. It really becomes an issue where the family home has to be sold pretty much. And
Would you be in favor of reforming that, Prop 19?
yes, very much so.
For
Yes.
that example?
For the fairness that I do think should be there. But again, that not only has to go through the legislature, but it has to go back on the ballot.
Sure.
And allow the voters to speak on that. And any changes that would be made to Prop 13 also have to go through the legislature or through signature gathering, which is a very difficult bar to reach, and go back on the ballot so that the people of the state of California can render their judgment on it. And I think that's very critical to recognize.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you. And
Are we
Member
ready to-
Schaefer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Prop 13 is the holy grail, and if you ever remember the Mike Schaefer campaigns, I have Prop 13 up there along with my name because it's more important than I am as an individual. When you ask about Prop 13, you're actually asking about split roles or not split roles, and I have supported Prop 13 and not Prop 15 because I like Prop 13 the way it is, because I'm not afraid that it's giving such an unfair advantage. Whenever there is remodeling or reconstruction, we reassess. And Disney comes out every few months with a renovation program or remodeling program, and I am on top of the assessor in Orange County that you've got to total up these remodelings and these renovations that they get to a point where they are reconstruction and they should demand reassessment. And they are periodically reassessing. SeaWorld in San Diego, the land is owned by the city, but the improvements are subject to assessment. So I'm always looking to see that we are going to reassess our business property. California has the worst reputation in the United States for taxation as far as supporting business. We are driving everybody out of state. Just recently, In-N-Out Burger moved to Tennessee. So I think supporting Prop 13, but also supporting constant renovation and reassessment is the best way to go.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to have to put a period on that. And I think at this point, we'll go take public comment, and then we'll come on and call the vote.
Mary? Okay, yes, thank you. There's the public comment on this item. Do we have any written, we do not have any written comments, and no one is in the auditorium who wishes to make a public comment on this item. Therefore, let's go to the AT&T moderator. AT&T moderator, is there anyone on the line who'd like to make a public comment on this item?
If you have a comment, please press 1, then 0. Once again, for comments, please press 1, then 0. And at this time, there are no comments from the phone lines.
Thank you, moderator.
At this time, we're going to proceed to the vote, so I'm going to turn it back to Ms. Cicchetti. She will call your name. At that time, please state the member that you would like to serve as chair.
Chair Gaines,
Vasquez?
Vice Chair Lieber,
Lieber?
Member Vasquez,
Vasquez?
Member Schaefer,
Schaefer?
Controller Cohen.
Well, this is interesting. I am supporting Member Lieber.
So at this time, we have a tie. In the event of a tie,
We have Chair Gaines for a second year.
we would have Chair Gaines again. However, you have declined to serve previously, so we can go back through the votes for reconsideration.
May I just want to articulate a little bit of reason why I'm supporting Member Lieber. This may be helpful or not. Again, this is a little bit of an embarrassment of riches because we do have several qualified members that have served several times as chair. One of the things that I heard that stands out for me and why I'm supporting Member Lieber is because I think she articulated the strongest vision for the Franchise Tax Board and the strongest visions for the Board of Equalization. As I mentioned in my earlier remarks, the 2026 is going to be a really pivotal year as we continue to move forward as an organization, building, strengthening, and also being mindful that we already have a deficit that we're going into. There is going to be leadership changes, not only on this body in 2027, but also staff changes that I would imagine are going to be happening within the Board of Equalization on the staff level. So we're going to need a strong board to be able to help staff make these transitions. Also, I thought Member Lieber was incredibly effective when it came to the discussion about salary reduction for Board of Equalization members. She wrote a very compelling argument, a letter, very well written, that actually swayed members of the commission. And this is, what's the name of this commission? The California Citizens Commission. Thank you. And also was able to articulate very clearly and succinctly to where that this body could understand the importance of the Board of Equalization. So those are the two key things that I think that are really important for me that stands out about the leadership. And this is not a negative commentation on your leadership, Member Vasquez, but I think that there is, should something happen to Member Lieber, we would be very in good hands with under your leadership. But for me, my vote stands with Member Lieber. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cicchetti, if you could call the roll again.
Could I ask a question, just in terms of clarification? Or maybe a statement would be better. And that is in reference to Member Vasquez, because I think both members have done tremendous things that I support. And I do appreciate, Sally, the issues that you've brought up. But Tony, also, I appreciate he rattled off some things in terms of progress on e-signature and also the Assessment Appeals Board, which I appreciate. These are tough things that we need to get through. He's talked about Prop 19 reform. It sounds like you're both in support of that. Talked about tax credits. I just feel like there's a lot of pressure on Californians, and I know there's different ways of attacking these issues when it comes to cost of living, but I really have challenges with taxation in this state. And, you know, philosophically, we're growing government when, in my opinion, we ought to be getting back to basics and, at a minimum, not increasing taxes. And if we can reduce taxes in certain areas to stimulate the economy, those are things that I'm in favor of. I am worried about Prop 13 because I think if split roll goes through, you're going to see a continued exodus of businesses out of the state of California. And so I don't know if the two of you would like to maybe expand your perspectives on my comments a little bit. I would appreciate that. Just
Well, member, let me interject a little something here because although the members shared their personal views, in the end, this is a body. We're going to enforce and uphold the law, whatever the voters decide. So it's almost inconsequential about their personal views. They're one vote, but these items don't come before this body. We're not making those types of policy decisions.
okay, it just gives you an indication of where the policy might go. And that's what I'm just trying to figure out, maybe get a little more clarity from them. So I don't know if they'd be willing to comment on, I'd love to hear from both of you in terms of where we are in that.
I think I can comment very succinctly. You know, I'm struck as I engage in constituent conversations and do constituent outreach that many times it's just simply the complexity of how difficult it is for people in the community to understand where they can get help from. And so I'd like to continue to work to make those pathways more clear. I think that ultimately it's up to the people and to the state legislature to determine what could happen on split roll. I don't see anything happening on that, given that the electorate has already voted on that and voted no. But I think that where I see my constituents at is really overwhelmed by the complexity and especially with Prop 19, finding themselves in a situation where they made a decision based on the best information that they had at the time. And it was a one-way gate for them. And now they're stuck in a situation, sometimes in retirement, where their property taxes have doubled on them. And it's a very difficult situation. I really pride myself on standing up for everyday Californians. And I think that that's very, very important. And what I see people who are just struggling with everyday life and they're exhausted and they're trying to get home at the end of the day is that they just want government that is functional and makes sense at some level. And that's what the kinds of efforts that I'd like to see this board support.
Sure, okay, thank you.
I'll try to be quick and brief. And I think I agree with you, Member Gaines. At the end of the day, my focus is going to be on Prop 19. You know, and I know while, you know, people were discussing that we really don't have a role, but I don't think we're going to be advocating for, or at least this board, advocating for a split role. I think at the end of the day, my focus, since me personally, I only have a year, I want to make sure we correct Prop 19. That's going to be my focus.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I wanted to ask our legal counsel if there's something, so we don't just go round and round and something that we can consider. Mr. Schaefer received one vote. I was wondering if we could take the top two vote getters and have them advance to a second round of votes in order to bring this matter to closure. I just want to know if that's something that we can do legally.
So at this time, we can do, well, what I'd like to propose, if Controller Cohen, I believe what you're suggesting is that Member Schaefer did not receive the requisite number of votes. If Member Schaefer, if you're okay with us recalling the nominations and removing your name from the nominations at this time, and then we can recall the vote, and that way we can move forward at that time.
That's fine.
Okay. So at this time, we will recall nominations. We will not do speeches again, as we've already done those. And then we will recall the vote. So, excuse me. So, yeah, so I'm going to call the nominations at this time, starting with Member Schaefer. Who would you like to nominate?
Myself.
No, remember, you can't do, I mean, we're moving on beyond that. May I suggest that you make a nomination of the top two vote getters, either Vasquez or Lieber?
I would vote for Lieber.
I think you.
Sure.
Maybe we just recall the vote.
Okay. At this time, we will go
I'll
ahead.
make a motion to recall the vote.
We are going to recall the vote. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Cicchetti to recall the vote.
Yes, I'd be happy to recall the vote. Let's just make it clear for the record, who were the nominations?
The current nominations are Member Lieber and Member Vasquez.
Happy to call the vote. Chair Gaines?
Lieber.
Vice Chair Lieber?
Lieber.
Member Vasquez? Member Schaefer?
Lieber.
Controller Cohen?
Member Lieber. Congratulations.
So Member Lieber has been elected to serve as the chair beginning at the close of this meeting. So now we're going to call for nominations. You'll be chair January 1. At this time, I'm going to open nominations for board vice chair. We're going to follow the same process as before. Once all nominations have been made, each nominee will have 3 minutes to make their presentation. The nomination does not require a second. Ms. Cicchetti will call for public comments, and then we'll call for the roll. Okay? So at this time, I'm going to open the nominations for the election of vice chair. I will start with Chair Gaines.
For Vice Chair, Member Vasquez.
I apologize. Controller Cohen.
Member Gaines.
Member Schaefer. For vice chair, your nomination?
Among all the board? Yes, I have no nomination.
Okay.
I apologize.
And if someone's already been nominated, then you wouldn't repeat their name again. Okay, thank you.
Member Vasquez. Okay. Okay, I'm going to call for presentation, if any of the nominees would like to give a presentation.
Well, I'd be honored to serve as Vice Chair and would like to work with the Chair on issues that we would address at the Board of Equalization over the course of the next year. Want to make sure that we are respecting one another as we proceed through hearings. I think we've done a pretty good job of that, even today. So yeah, I would do whatever is necessary in that role as Vice Chair. That keeps us moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's call the vote. Oh, Mr. Vasquez, excuse me. My apologies.
So it's just the two?
Yeah, it's just you and Mr. Gaines,
Oh,
Vice Chair.
pretty much what I had said already as the chair, I would do as the vice chair. In this particular case, just be supportive, obviously, of our chair. I think the only thing that maybe I would mention is that moving forward, just looking forward to working with Ms. Libra as the chair now and supporting her, and hopefully that, I think we're in sync there, especially on Prop 19. I think that's really the goal for me.
At this time, if Ms. Cicchetti could call for public comment?
Public comment on the matter of the vice chair. We don't have any written comments, and no one in the auditorium wishes to make a public comment on this item. Therefore, let's go to the AT&T moderator. AT&T moderator, is there anyone on the line who'd like to make a public comment for this item?
If you have a comment, please press 1, then 0. Once again, please press 1, then 0 for comments. And at this time, there are no comments from the phone lines.
Thank you, moderator.
We will now proceed to vote. So members, when Ms. Cicchetti calls your name, please state the name of your selection for vice chair.
Chair Gaines.
Gaines?
Vice Chair Lieber.
Mr. Gaines.
Member Vasquez. Member Schaefer.
Gaines?
Controller Cone.
Senator Gaines.
Member Gaines will serve as vice chair for the upcoming term,
Starting January 1.
starting January 1. Yes,
Congratulations, everyone.
thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to say goodbye. I have to depart and carry on with my other constitutional duties. I just want to say it's been a pleasure to serve California with you. I hope this conversation hasn't been too unbearable, but it's incredibly important for us to continue to have as we frame the importance of our work here on this body. Colleagues, have a wonderful holiday season. I will see you all in January. And for those of you that are hopping on planes to go home, have a safe flight. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, and I think just proceeding here, we're looking at the consent agenda. Is that correct? So we'd be looking at items 14 through 17. Thank you, Controller Cohen. Merry Christmas. Okay, Deputy Controller Emron is now seated, and we're ready to move forward on the consent items. We're taking one vote for all of the consent items. Members, would anyone like to make a motion on this item? Okay, very good. Do we have a second? Anybody got a second here?
Second.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right. Do we have any public comment on this, written comments? I don't think so. And there's nobody in the audience that I can see. So we'll go to the AT&T moderator. And please let us know if anyone's on the telephone line and would like to make a public comment regarding this item on the agenda.
If you have a comment, please press 1, then 0. And at this time, there are no comments from the phone lines.
Great, thank you, moderator. Vice Chair Lieber's made a motion to adopt the 2019-25 board meeting minutes and approve the assessor's handbooks, sections 531, 534, and 581, with Member Vasquez providing the second. Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll. Aye.
Aye.
Member Vasquez.
Aye.
Member Schaefer.
Aye.
Deputy Controller Emron.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. Thank you, members. We'll now move to item 18, Executive Director's Report. Ms. Stowers, please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chairman Gaines and honorable members. I'm Yvette Stowers, Executive Director. My report today will be brief. First, I'd like to congratulate the new chair, current Vice Chair, Ms. Sally Lieber. And I'd also like to congratulate the upcoming Vice Chair, Member Gaines. Next, I would like to extend my appreciation and thanks to the outgoing CAA President and Los Angeles County Assessor, the Honorable Jeff Prang, for his partnership in 2025, as many of our accomplishments were achieved through great collaborations working with the CAA. Moving into next year, I am looking forward to working with the Honorable Christine DePaul, Modoc County Assessor, the incoming CEA President in 2026. As mentioned earlier by Member Vasquez, we did hold our staff appreciation celebration last Tuesday. This is an annual event for us. It was a great success. We offer staff sweets, homemade goodies made by Ms. Venati, and my famous hot apple cider. It was a great event. And again, we thank the staff for all of the great work that they do and we really, really appreciate them. Members, as a bit of a teaser, as part of my Executive Director report next month in January 2026, I will be highlighting the agency's strategic plan for 2026 through 2030. Finally, members, I'd like to wish you and all the BOE staff a very happy, safe, and healthy holiday. That concludes my report. My executive management team will be providing updates on projects and operational priorities in their respective areas. Thank you. I'm available to answer any questions the board may have.
Members, any questions? Seeing none? Thank you. Ms. Stowers? Okay, we're going to move to number 19, operational priorities, presented by Ms. Renati.
Chairman Gaines and honorable members, for the record, I am Lisa Renati, Chief Deputy Director. Since my last report, we have continued to recruit and interview potential candidates for our vacant positions, and I hope to announce some new key hires in the new year. We're currently also updating our workforce and succession plans for the next 5-year period, and those will build on the successes and all of the progress that we made in the last 7 years. Succession planning is not new to the state. It's also a topic you may have read about, as many of the baby boomer employees and Gen X employees are preparing to retire or maybe are retiring. But we are in a much stronger position right now than we were 7 years ago. Our recent progress in hiring and recruiting, our classification updates that are currently in process, our technology updates, all of these are helping to ensure that we have the capacity to continue to do our jobs. And as you know, we've hired a lot of people in the last 7 years. We have a lot of very young people now that work for us. And primarily in the past, we were an agency where more senior members, I'll say. It's a nicer way of calling myself old as well, but senior people. So we are ready to navigate the future. As we close the calendar year, I want to thank this board for all of your support and all of your guidance. We truly appreciate it. I also truly appreciate the team behind me that make sure that we fill all the positions, make sure we hit our strategic goals. Our technology project, which is an everyday working situation, that they're working on that, and I want to thank them. And hopefully in the new year, I'll come back with new updates on our next phase of our operational priorities. That is all hopefully successful, but we'll weather it no matter what. So if you have any questions, I'm here to help answer them.
Question, yes, Member Schaefer.
Yes, Ms. Renati, do we find ourselves hiring all California applicants, or do we get some people from out of state that are interested in what we're doing?
I don't have the direct answer to that question. Typically, when we look at the applications, we don't know where people live. We don't know their names either, so, because we try to score them blindly. So I think the majority of people have been from California. I haven't had anyone ask about it, so.
Appreciate what you've done over the years.
Oh, well,
You
thank
gave us a little summary, but it was pretty dire when we were first elected in terms of staffing.
Oh, yeah, when I first got here, yeah.
So how many vacancies, do you recall how many vacancies we had at that time?
About 50 or 60?
Yeah,
Yeah. It
out of
was
an organization that has less than
140,
200?
150 people at a time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was difficult. But the people that were here rolled up their sleeves, got the work done, and did some process improvement. We've seen, and that's why the growth is and all the
That's right,
excitement is.
yes.
You know, when someone retires, everybody, it's worrisome. You think the brain drain's going to happen, but then behind them are all the people kind of looking forward to
Sure.
the next chapter, so it's good
Wonderful.
times here.
How many employees do we have now, roughly?
I want to say 158, not including the board
okay,
members. I think right
okay.
now we have some vacant positions and we have some that we're holding for salary savings.
Yeah,
So not that many vacant positions.
yeah, sounds pretty efficient.
Yes.
Yeah.
Under Ms. Stowers' leadership.
Yeah,
We're
we
making sure they do
appreciate
really well.
that executive director.
Yeah.
And you've helped, or you have guided the ship. You really have. And Ms. Renati, you've done a great job too, so appreciate that.
Thank you, Chairman.
Good, thank you. Okay, we'll move to item 20, Taxpayer Rights Advocate Office Report by Ms. Thompson. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, Chair Gaines and honorable board members. My name is Lisa Thompson, the Chief of the Taxpayer Rights Advocate Office. And today I'm just going to provide you with an update on the activities of the TRA office to keep you informed. As far as the total number of completed cases for November 2025, there were 34 cases. 7 were in Chairman Gaines' district, District 1, 17 in Vice Chair Lieber's district, District 2, 5 in Board Member Vasquez's district, District 3, and 5 in Board Member Schaefer's district, District 4. Of those 34 cases, 25 were in the valuation category and 9 were in the administrative category. The memo that is attached to the public agenda notice does identify those topics within the valuation category as well as the administrative category. However, the highest number in the valuation category was 7 with change in ownership, and followed closely by exclusions for reassessment with 4. As far as the administrative category, the counts were fairly evenly distributed amongst those categories, with the higher numbers in creating or mailing of tax bills and delinquent or defaulted taxes for those. And for the exclusion cases, there were 4. 2 pertain to the parent-child exclusion, 2 pertain to base year value transfers for seniors, and 1 pertained to the new construction exclusion. So finally, since this is the end of the calendar year, I'd like to thank my staff for all of their hard work and dedication in helping taxpayers this year. It is due to their hard work and exceptional work that we can be so successful in helping so many taxpayers during the year. I'd also like to thank the board members for directing taxpayers to us and for allowing us to assist them. That concludes my updates. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I've got a question. How many of those cases were related to Prop 19? Do you know roughly?
Well, the exclusion cases that we have for parent-child and then also base year value transfers are exclusively due to Proposition 19. Now that we've gotten so far away from the effective date in 2021, we don't have any cases that pertain to those exclusions from prior law, although it happens from time to time.
Okay.
So, yeah, thank you.
Great. Any questions? Seeing none? Oh, I'm sorry. Member Schaefer, excuse me.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Thompson. I noticed that Chair-elect Lieber had 17 equalization district cases. Down south, we had but 5. Is there something going on in her district that we don't know about?
50%, yeah, this was actually quite a bit when I saw that number, so I don't know.
Okay.
We'll try to find some more. Or maybe you need to drum up some business around your constituency, but.
Vice Chair Lieber?
Well, I think I can address that by saying that District 2 is a very unquiet district. And actually, I just referred a case to your website yesterday. So I really appreciate your services.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Move to item 21, Property Tax Deputy Director's Report. Mr. Young?
Thank you, Chairman Gaines, honorable members of the board. For the record, my name is David Young. I'm the Deputy Director of the Property Tax Department. I have 3 reports for you today, but before I start, I just wanted to recognize and to appreciate as we close out this year, first of all, each and every one of the board members' leadership in this past year. So thank you very much for your leadership. Also, I also want to recognize the support that we've gotten through to our executive office, our executive director, our chief deputy. They've been tremendously supportive of the property tax department. And also, and thirdly, I wanted to recognize the hard work each one of our divisions in property tax has been doing this year. SAPD, our State Assessed Properties Division, you've already adjudicated many of their appeals today. There's a lot of hard work involved in that. They're also preparing to basically take on potentially a huge workload too with new state assessees. And they're working on a technology project that takes a lot of their time and effort. For our ASPD, which is our surveys department, they're also right now, with the beginning of the year, they will be reverting back to looking at all 58 counties in a 5-year cycle. So that represents about a 50% increase in their workload. They've been preparing for it. We know it's coming, and they've been working extraordinarily hard in order to make that happen. And lastly, our assessment, our CAPD, our County Assessed Properties Division, they have renewed their focus on providing guidance and support to our assessors and to many of our stakeholders. So it's been a tremendous year. I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, one and all, for the work that has been done this year, and look forward to 2026. So with that, if you guys are ready, I will have Ms. Lauren Keach. She is the chief of CAPD. She'll give you the first 2 reports, first one on letters to assessors, and followed up by a training and certification report. And lastly, Mr. Jack McCool, chief of the State Assessed Properties Division, will give you an update as to what's going on in his division. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Keach. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman Gaines and honorable board members. As Mr. David Young said, I'm Lauren Keach, Chief of the County Assessed Properties Division. Today, I'll provide a brief report on letters to assessors. Attached to this month's agenda is the memo on letters to assessors, which provides a list of the LTAs since the report at the last board meeting, and a link to the BOE's website where a list of all LTAs issued to date can be found. As of the date of the attached memo, the agency has issued a total of 40 LTAs for the calendar year 2025, and 2 since the report at the last board meeting. Those 2 LTAs are summarized in order as follows. An LTA to report the 2026 timberland production zone values, and an LTA to notify and issue guidance regarding the change in the state assessment jurisdiction of voice over internet protocol. This concludes my report on letters to assessors. I'm available if you have any questions.
So I'm just curious on the, so that's TPZ zone, right? Timber production?
Yes.
So in layman's terms, can you tell me what that letter had to say? I'm just curious.
So this letter is actually issued by CDTFA. They manage this program, and then we reproduce the letter that they issue to notify our constituents and the county assessors. So I am not familiar with too much of the details on that. Looks like Mr. Young would like to answer.
All right, so it's
Yes.
coming from them.
The calculations are made by CDTFA. They actually make the calculations for what the timber production zones should be assessed at. But because when they bifurcated the assessment of timberland, the standing timber is not taxed until it's basically harvested. So that's the yield tax. But we retained jurisdiction and advice because the underlying land is still assessed by the county assessors. And that's done with a restricted valuation under TPZ. So it's a collaborative effort. CDTFA does the calculation. We actually announce it to the assessors who make the assessments, and there are property tax rules and guidance, and we retain that as BOE.
So separate, so you have two values, one in timber and the other in land?
Correct, correct. Before this, if you had 1,000 acres of standing timber, it's very valuable and it would be taxed as is, land and timber. But because of public policy, there was a change in law. What they wanted to do was basically not incentivize cutting down a whole lot of forest. So they're not taxed, the standing timber is not taxed until it's harvested. And then it's based, and then the taxes are in lieu of, and it's based on how much you harvested.
Sure. Thank you.
Of course.
Appreciate that, yeah.
Of course.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything,
All right.
let's see, are you, appraisal training is next, is that correct?
Yes, so I'll now provide a brief report on the BOE's appraisal training and certification program. For the 2025-26 fiscal year, BOE staff scheduled 40 classes and 2 webinars. Additionally, 7 classes were scheduled with instructors in the county assessor's offices for their staff. Of the courses taught by the BOE, 21 have been completed since the beginning of the fiscal year, and 5 since the last board meeting. For courses taught by counties, 4 have been completed since the beginning of the fiscal year. As always, we continue offering our existing online training courses through American River College and California State University, Sacramento, as well as our additional online courses and self-study training sessions that are available on the BOE's website. And as we close out the calendar year, I would like to highlight our continued efforts on modernization and accessibility. While we continue to offer our courses in person, as of this fiscal year, all of our courses are now also offered in a virtual format, enabling us to expand our offerings to a record number of classes and significantly increase the number of students trained. This transition has not only improved efficiency, but has also enhanced convenience and accessibility for the county assessor staff throughout the state. These efforts align with other advancements made over the past year, including the transition of our examination process from hard copy submissions to an electronic format. We remain committed to leveraging current technology to deliver innovative and modernized training. And this will conclude my report on training and certification. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions, board members? Yes. Member Vasquez?
Mine goes back to your first presentation, when you were talking about the LTAs earlier.
Okay.
And I think Mr. Young talked about, I think last month, this whole regulation, I guess that's coming up now with the telephone companies. And maybe it's more of a question for him. Yes. I'm just wondering, moving forward, because technically the BOE is actually regulates this, well, constitutionally, right? With this, I guess you called it last time, I think it's the VOLIP company versus the traditional telephone companies?
Correct. I did mention it. You are absolutely correct. Your memory's spot on. I did mention it. There has been a change last year, actually, the end of 2024. VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol, used to be regulated not as a telephone company.
Right.
There has been a change in the CPUC's regulation of them. They now recognize them as a telephone provider, and as such, our jurisdiction includes all the regulated telephone companies. So now they will be subject to central assessment by the BOE.
So now moving forward,
Yes.
Do you anticipate any new, I guess, rules or guidance moving forward to fully regulate this now?
We have, the answer is it depends.
Oh.
Right now, we have a tentative listing of how many will fall within our jurisdiction. Potentially, it could be several hundred. Bear in mind, we now assess about 320 or so. So it could be a huge add to our workload. But as to the basic rules and guidance of the assessment process, it should be similar to telephone companies. They're being regulated as such. And there are already some state assessees that have VoIP as a service. They already fell in state assessment by the virtue of being owned and operated by the state assessee. These are a separate and a side category. They only just provide VoIP. So now they also fall in. So as we go through our due diligence, there may be some, we do not believe there to be, we've been reviewing our forms and our assessment processes to make sure they all basically kind of work. But we won't have a full working of the process until our first actual assessment of these companies. So that will be coming up next year. Our valuation season starts January 1. We've already been doing our homework on it. And by the time the property statements come in declaring their properties that they own and are taxable in California, it will be basically full steam ahead. And we prepared as much as we can, and some of it we will just have to learn on the way. So, yeah.
Okay. All right, other comments, questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Young.
All right, thank you. That will conclude my report. I'll hand it over to Jack.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Keach. And now we'll hear from Mr. McCool about state assessed property report.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Chairman Gaines and honorable members. My name is Jack McCool, Chief of the State Assessed Properties Division. This month concludes SAPD's work on unitary appeals for this year. After the action taken by the board earlier today on the petitions on this month's agenda, 19 petitions will have come before the board for action during the 2025 appeal season. That is slightly lower than last year's 30, and I believe we had 24 in the year prior. So 19 petitions came before the board this year. I would like to take a moment to thank our partners in the legal department for all of their hard work and collaboration during this year's appeal season. And additionally, I would like to thank the Board Proceedings Division's appeals team for the work they have done in the last few months to ensure that all of the proper procedures were followed and that everything went smoothly. Now that appeals work is complete, SAPD will be bringing completed property tax audits before the board in the early months of 2026. SAPD staff are also in the final stages of updating the annual property statement, forms, and instructions. This involves collaboration with the Forms and Publications Unit at CDTFA. The final electronic versions of the forms and instructions will be placed on our website and made ADA accessible. Each assessee will be mailed a hard copy of their applicable forms and instructions probably this week. If not this week, then next week at the latest. And those forms are due on March 1st of next year. And finally, as we close out the year, I would like to take this opportunity to personally thank all the members of the State Assessed Properties Division for all of their hard work this year. All 3 units of SAPD work diligently each day to ensure all of their statutorily and constitutionally mandated responsibilities are completed timely with a high degree of professionalism. And I just want to thank every one of them for their hard work and dedication this year. And that concludes my update for this month, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, members? Yes, Mr. Amron, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to give a great thanks to the whole SAPD staff, the amazing work. We just went through several items today as well, and dealing with all these companies. I think it's 200-300 at a time is quite a job. So appreciate the entire staff, and please send my best to the team. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, other comments? All right, seeing none, thank you, Mr. McCool, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, I think, are we done, Mr. Young? Okay, very good. So we'll now look at public comment for executive director's reports. We do not have any written comments or anyone in the auditorium. Oh, it's not on, for some reason, it's not on the agenda. I didn't mean to X you.
We're going to take public comment right now. Mr. Angelo's item is a vote, so we're going to go back out to public comment again. So yes, let's continue the public comment for the executive
Okay,
director's
okay,
items.
so we will do that then, okay. And we're going to go to the AT&T moderator, and please let us know if anyone's on the telephone that would like to make a public comment regarding these items on the agenda.
If you would like to make a public comment, please press 1, then 0. And at this time, there are no comments from the phone lines.
Great, thank you, moderator. We'll now move to item 22, legislative proposal, revenue and taxation code section 401.10. Mr. Angelo.
So, good afternoon, Chairman Gaines and members. I'm going to have a legislative proposal to bring forward, and I'm also going to have a very brief report since it is I'd like to thank basically my staff for all the hard work that they do, some of which goes unrecognized as we, and myself in particular, talk about legislative issues. They've done a lot of hard work updating the open data portal tables that they're responsible for in my division, as well as the state assess and the county assess divisions that do all of the work in collaboration, and also communicating data to the state controller's office to incorporate inside, outside city and county numbers that must be identified. And a memo went to you on December 8th highlighting some of that work that's highly technical but very important. So I want to thank them. And I also want to thank you as the chair this year for your steady leadership. It was a tough start to this year with what happened in Tony's district there, and also from an economic standpoint in the state. So I just want to thank you for your steady leadership. It's nice to see because we don't get to see that, in my opinion, at the federal level. But I'm upset, to be honest with you, about the tweet that came out yesterday from the commander-in-chief, and so I'm probably shouldn't say anything about it, but I think it's embarrassing, and I think you are the opposite of that, and you operate with integrity. And when somebody dies, regardless of who they are, and somebody comes out and does what they did and embarrasses the nation, I've heard from across the aisle, on both sides of the aisle, that everybody is ashamed of what happened yesterday. But I'm sorry, that was a point of privilege, and I'm upset about it, and I thought it needed to be said. Today, I'm going to provide a brief update on legislative activity for the interim recess of the 25-26 legislative session, and I'm also bringing forward one legislative proposal for the board's consideration next year. This proposal would extend the existing statute governing pipeline right-of-way regulation and the taxation by the BOE under Revenue and Taxation Code Section 401.10. The existing statute was last extended in 2001, and it would otherwise sunset on January 1st of 2027. So it could not be done, it has to be done next year, otherwise it would run it against the sunset even if they did an urgency proposal. So the history of this, it's included in your packet and is linked for public disclosure. Revenue Tax Code Section 401.10 was established following a court decision in 1993, and it has been in place and extended multiple times since then. It prescribes a valuation methodology for the local assessment of inter-county pipeline rights-of-way, which involves a series of tiered dollars per mile schedules based on a property's density classification. It has applied to assessments made from the 1984-85 through the 2025-26 tax years, and in this case, it would go to the 2027 to 2030 tax years, according to the language that's in mock-up form. County assessors value inter-county pipeline rights-of-way according to this methodology that transferred the duty for assessing those rights-of-way from the BOE to county assessors. So prior to the court decision, the BOE assessed the rights-of-way along with the physical pipelines and associated operational equipment. While the 1993 decision disposed of the jurisdictional dispute over the assessment of inter-county pipeline rights-of-way, the court left unresolved differences of opinion about how to value them. As neither the assessors nor the right-of-way owners wished for a protracted and expensive litigation over those differences, in 1996, the parties reached a settlement agreement codified as the current Revenue Tax Code Section 401.10 that prescribes the agreed-upon valuation methodology. These amounts are then adjusted annually for inflation. And the amounts are in the memo enclosed in your packet. I'm not going to go into them today because they're technical. Mr. Young has deep knowledge of how it was established and why it hasn't changed, but this has been extended multiple times, as I alluded to earlier. Under 401.10 of the Revenue Tax Code, a taxpayer may not challenge an assessment made using the prescribed methodology. At the same time, if an assessor does not use the prescribed methodology and the taxpayer then exercises their right to challenge the resulting assessment, that assessment loses the benefit of any presumption of correctness. I respectfully request the board's approval to sponsor the legislative proposal to extend the sunset date on the valuation methodology specified in RTC 401.10 until January 1, 2031, which is a 5-year extension in what the legislature typically pursues for sunset extensions. Myself and the Property Tax Division are available to answer any technical questions you might have, and I thank you in advance for that. I can give a brief report now, or you can do the motion now, however you want to take care of it.
Okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and call for a motion on this legislative proposal, Revenue and Tax Code, Section 401.10. It's a 5-year extension, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Do we have a motion or comments?
A motion. I'd
Okay.
like to move that the board support the legislation described in the proposal.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Angelo, and I appreciate you moving forward with this. Does the current statute preserve the ability for taxpayers to challenge assessments, and how does that process work under Section 401.10?
I would have to ask Mr. Young for that, but I believe they have to agree to the statutory framework, but I'll leave it to Mr. Young.
Oh, yeah. For the record, David Young, Deputy Director of the Property Tax Department. The statute provides certain framework for the valuation. There's a presumption of correctness. So if the assessor uses that methodology, they're presumed to be correct. They can challenge the valuation, but there are certain things that they cannot challenge. What they cannot challenge is the right to assess that right-of-way, and it also settles a valuation difference for a period of time that's already passed. So there are certain things, there's the trade-off, there is a recognized strategy or scheme in which to assess and assign a value to something with a presumption of correctness, but there are some limitations as to what the assessees can challenge if they actually use that.
Understood. And then the other question is, how long has this been extended for with the same methodology?
It's been in statute since 1996. So at the end of this year, it will be basically 30 years. So we're asking the board to extend it for another 3 years. Just to give you a little bit of history and background on this, we have been in discussion with the county assessors. Our recommendation is good. I think we should extend it. It gives us a little bit more certainty for another 5 years. In that time, though, we've gotten commitments from the CAA, the Assessors Association, to take a look at the actual prescribed values. As you know, there's 3 tiers, and whether those tiers were established more than 30 years ago. We've gotten a commitment from the assessors and our team to basically go through and look at whether those prescribed values under that statute is still relevant today. So that is work that remains to be done.
And have you also talked to pipeline owners as well?
The whole
Pipeline industry?
process will be, we'll start with the assessors and stakeholders and everybody else involved. So and just a little bit more background, stakeholders were the ones that actually asked us 5 years ago if we were contemplating extended it, and they actually reached back out to us for this time too. So they are involved.
Understood. My very last question, just to confirm, does staff not anticipate any fiscal impact or revenue shift as a result of extending the sunset?
It basically right now, it would be a status quo. One of the things that we do want to review is that pipeline right-of-ways in California in general, they're not creating many new ones. What we would like to do is look at not only the valuation of it, but how many change hands, what are the triggers for reassessment? So all that will be part of the things that we will look at.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right, any other, yeah, Member Vasquez.
Thank you. And looking at this, so the recommendation here is for a sunset after 5 years.
Yes.
Is there a reason why you don't do it permanently?
Part of it is the legislative will in order to make it permanent. Part of it is that it allows interested parties, assessors, us, stakeholders to take a look at it every 5 years to see if that statutory scheme is still relevant and applicable for that time.
All right.
Good enough,
I
thanks.
think we're good. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. We don't have any written comments on this item, and no one's in the auditorium that wishes to speak to this. So AT&T moderator, please let us know if anyone is on the telephone line and would like to make a public comment regarding this item on the agenda.
If you have a comment, please press 1, then 0. And at this time, there are no comments from the phone lines.
Thank you, moderator. Vice Chair Lieber has made a motion to sponsor the legislative proposal to extend sunset on the valuation methodology specified in the Revenue and Taxation Code, Section 401.10, with Deputy Controller Emron making the second. Ms. Cicchetti, please call the roll.
Chairman Gaines,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lieber,
Aye.
Member Vasquez,
Aye.
Member Schaefer is absent. Deputy Controller Emron.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. Thank you, members. Oh, wow, here we are. Okay, so it's,
I still have a little to go.
oh,
but
I almost adjourned.
Oh, no. I was letting you know I'm still here.
I apologize.
But I don't want to stop your comment if you had something else.
No,
Okay.
please.
Okay, so
continue.
just real briefly, and thank you, members, for your action on that item. For the 2026 session, so the second year of the 2-year session, myself and my staff continue to track the 2-year bills in the first house to see if they might be scheduled for any committee hearings, as those particular bills must pass by the end of January. In that regard, a proposal to extend the Prop 19 timeframe, which we've been talking about today, specifically to accommodate probate, will likely be reconsidered in a new bill. Last year, there was a bill that dealt with that and a family farm issue. It was held in committee, so that bill is dead. It is not a 2-year bill, so they would have to amend it into another bill. And if they wanted to move it quickly, they would have to do it in a bill in its first house and then move it out by the end of January. So that's why I'm bringing it up. An attempt to address multiple heirs of property where where one is not legally authorized to move in and accept the base year value transfer within the 1 year prescribed in Revenue Tax Code Section 63.2.1 is the issue. It's one of many issues that we've discussed about Prop 19, but that's the one where if you can't legally move in and take over a property within 1 year, what are you supposed to do if the law says you must? It wasn't handled in the initiative or in the statute. So other bills in the second house will have mid-year committee deadlines, so we'll be watching those as well. We continue to discuss potential legislative proposals with legislative staff and committee consultants regarding any new bills that could impact the BOE. All new bills will begin filtering in during January of next year. My office will reconvene weekly updates, weekly reports, and copies of analyses via email to you once session reconvenes in January of 2026. This concludes my report, and again, I thank you for your time, and I apologize for my candor. That's it, unless you have any questions.
Questions? Yeah, Member Vasquez.
Yes, thank you for the updates. And I know in the past you've mentioned some rumblings, especially on possible legislation with home hardening in that area. And I was wondering if you have any idea what might be popping up in that.
I know
arena.
I don't have the exact language, but the theory is to give some kind of tax credit on the property tax side for the home hardening efforts that they've done on the insurance side. So efforts to make your home more fire safe would somehow be giving you a tax credit for your property tax. And how they would go about that and not run into Prop 13 and constitutional requirements, whether it's an exemption or an exclusion or how they would do it, has not come forward yet. It'll be introduced as a new bill sometime in January if they were to do that.
Yeah, because in meeting some of these folks that are doing the prefab stuff, they're not using any wood, it's all steel.
Right.
But there's no incentive in it yet.
Right.
So I'm hoping they come up with some legislation on that.
Other than
Incentivize it.
incentives that might be in place in other areas of the codes.
Right.
In California for building codes and personal income tax, things like that, but not on the property tax side.
Okay.
Okay, Vice Chair Lieber.
I don't have any questions other than to say that I always appreciate the legislative reports, and I eagerly await getting that email and knowing what is going on and what's the big picture. So thank you.
Yes.
Great. Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chairman
Mr.
Gaines.
Angelo. Yeah.
Thank you for your leadership, and congratulations, Ms. Lieber.
Thank you. All right. Any board member closing remarks? Okay, let's see. I think, Sally, why don't you raise your hand first, and then we'll go to Tony.
Well, I'd just like to thank my colleagues for their confidence in me. I very much appreciate it, and I appreciate staff more than words can say, the leadership of our executive director, and all of the leadership of our departments, and everybody working on producing such a high-quality, consistent result throughout the year flawlessly. It is truly impressive, and I love to go out, be it to CAA or elsewhere, and receive all the accolades for the work that you guys do. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Vice Chair. Member Vasquez.
Thank you, Chair Gaines. And I'd like to adjourn. I have several individuals in my district, actually, known for their outstanding talent and achievements in creative fields of endeavors. In spite of what's going on in the world with some of these tragedies that, we mentioned earlier in our opening remarks, we did lose an icon in the architectural world, Frank Gehry, who I had the opportunity to work with, I guess about 20 years ago. And back then, he was considered an elderly man. I mean, he got to be 96 and active all the way through. And, he's renowned. You've probably seen several of his pieces. He had one very famous one in LA, the Walt Disney Concert Hall. And then I remember when he brought he was trying to do this pretty large project in Santa Monica. And actually, I kind of told him it was too big. And at the end of the day, he had me come to his warehouse where he had literally, it was probably about 26 by 4 tables. Each one had a project that he was doing all over the world. Wow. And this guy was amazing. And he actually he finished a couple of pretty exotic homes in Santa Monica. And that's actually where he ended up passing away. But he was a very skilled architect, and we lost him on December 5th, 2025. The other individual, actually we had a young man when I met him, but actually he was a little bit older when he passed. And I don't know if you've caught this also in Santa Monica, which was Jubilant Sykes. He was a renowned opera singer and gospel. I met him back in the late 80s, and he felt he was tragically killed by his son, similar to what we just heard with earlier about Rob Reiner and his situation. And I know we've shared this many times, and we've always talking about mental health, in families, and it's kind of a tragedy to see somebody with so much talent fall to that. I wanted to just mention, and we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, about these young individuals at Brown University. I think our vice chair, I think, covered it quite a bit, but to me that was so powerful, and it's so sad to hear that it's still happening on our university campuses with our students. And then the one in Australia, I'd like to adjourn all the loss of life there as well. I believe that was on the eve of Hanukkah, right? Hanukkah was kicking off that day, first night. And then we have that tragedy as well. So with that, if we could just adjourn in memory of those lost lives, appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Deputy Controller Emron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What an honor it's been to serve alongside you, sit next to you, and your steady leadership throughout. And then congratulations to you, Ms. Lieber. Looking forward to working with you again as chair in the new year. So the controller and I thought it would be good to try to synthesize, maybe give me 90 seconds about some of the accomplishments that the board has done. In 2025, the board fulfilled its core constitutional responsibilities while also using this public forum to engage deeply with issues that have real consequences for Californians. Central to that work has been the board's adoption of more than $167 billion in state-assessed property values, helping generate billions of dollars in property tax revenue that directly supports schools, local governments, and essential public services throughout the state. That impact is felt in communities every day. Beyond valuation, the board convened a robust series of informational hearings to better understand how property tax policy intersects with some of California's most pressing challenges. We examined wildfire disaster recovery, housing, affordability, workforce housing, affordable housing financing, hydrogen hub stations, listening to county assessors, housing experts, educators, labor leaders, policymakers, and members of the public. These conversations reinforce that tax administration is not abstract. It affects whether families can rebuild, whether workers can live near their jobs, and whether communities thrive. The board also strengthened its collaboration with county assessors statewide, including through our annual meeting with the assessors, ongoing coordination on training, technology, and implementation on complex laws such as Proposition 19. That partnership is essential to ensuring consistency, fairness, and clarity across all 58 counties. At the same time, the board continued its role as a thoughtful steward of legislative and policy development, reviewing and advancing proposals related to valuation methodologies, disaster relief, and other issues critical to the integrity of the property tax system, always with an eye towards fairness, feasibility, and public trust. And throughout the year, we reaffirmed our commitment to taxpayer rights and due process through the Taxpayer Bill of Rights hearing, ongoing public comment, and the study work of appeals, audits, and adjudicatory matters, the board ensured that Californians have a voice and that the system remains transparent and accountable. Dozens of LTAs have been released, nearly 1,000 students have been trained. Several counties under assessment practices surveys were better able to improve their process. So taken together, this year's work reflects a board that understands its responsibility not only to assess value, but to listen, to collaborate, and to govern with fairness and integrity. I want to thank my fellow board members, the executive director, our dedicated staff, county partners, and the public for their engagement throughout the year. Looking forward to an amazing 2026. Thank you.
Great. Excellent. All right. Well, yeah, wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, have great celebrations, and great opportunities to gather with friends and family. So I hope everybody has a peaceful and a wonderful holiday season, and I want to thank the members. I think it's been a good year. It's been productive. Everybody stepped up and done their part, so appreciate that. And we will now adjourn the board meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday, January 28th and 29th, 2026 at 10 a.m. right here in the Maley State Office Complex in Sacramento. And we are adjourning at 1:21. Thank you.